And we're live. What's up, guys? Thank you for joining. As always, my name's Jaren, and I talk movies. And I'm back for another weekly Q&A. But it's no fun to do it by myself, so I had to bring on some pretty awesome guests. So today, I'm joined by the Talkin TV crew. We got the TV nerd and the movie nerd. What's up, guys? How are y'all doing?
What's going on? Happy to be here.
Doing great, Jaren. Thank you, man.
Thank you guys for coming on. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. So, guys, as always, make sure to drop all your questions, whatever you want to talk about. Doesn't have to be movie related down below. I see we got some people in here already. Stranger Boy, Luke Reviews, Chubbs Reviews, Dimension Scott. What's up, guys? Thank you all for joining.
What's going on, guys? Luke. What's up, Luke?
Oh man, I just want people to know I don't necessarily want as many movie questions. I mean, I'll take movie questions most definitely, but I want people to get I want this to get really personal, really weirdly uncomfortable, but also slightly more
creative.
I can't wait. Hey, I will do as good as the questions that are asked. That's all I'm gonna say.
Exactly.
True.
Yeah. We actually got one here from Luke Reviews. Any NHL fans here watching the long ass game happening at the moment? I'm not super into hockey. Are y'all?
I'd say, Luke, I didn't take you for an NHL guy.
Oh, so you know this guy?
Yeah. He was on our Inception watch along.
Yeah, he's been a guest on a few of our streams before.
Yeah, he was on our Inception watch along. He's been a good fan. Thanks for making it here, Luke. But no, I like I said, I didn't take you for an NHL guy. I would have thought that would have been Brando. Would have been the first person for it.
Yeah,
I'm trying to. When's the last time I even watched a hockey game? I can tell
you the last time I watched a hockey game. The answer is never.
Yeah,
I can tell you the last time I watched a hockey game.
When's that?
It was New Year's Eve 5 years ago. We were in Toronto. Notice my pronunciation on that. It is correct. Toronto. And we were playing a show, actually. I was on a tour with my old band, and there was a basement show because it was New Year's Eve and no venues had shows, but we wanted to make money, so we threw a show on a weekend anyways, just to make some money, because you got to make money when you're out there. Our band was a small business. And so in the middle of this band's song, in this kid's basement, they had a giant flat screen TV behind them, and it was the Vancouver Canucks and I think the Maple Leafs, and they're Maple Leafs fans up there in Toronto. And they stopped in the middle of the song because it went to a shootout. The band stopped. And no one booed. In fact, everyone was like, yes, we got to watch the shootout. And then they resumed the song where they stopped. And it was a room full of Canadians in a basement. And I got to see how much hockey means to Canada.
Yeah, it means a lot, to say the least.
It was crazy.
That's their biggest sport there, I think.
I think it is.
It is. They love it. They live and
Tell
die
me more
by
about your band, bro. I didn't know you were in a band.
Yeah, Chris, tell them about your vast and interesting history of bands.
Yeah, I've had a few bands. I'm going forward as a solo artist, and I actually have a Spotify page and stuff. Just type in my name, Christian Ivanko. I make folkier, kind of poppy type music, like Mumford & Sons meets Bob Dylan, because I
love those.
old stuff and new stuff. So,
although he has been wanting to take a dip into 80s synth as well.
I have been. I've always enjoyed it. And Stranger Things definitely helped blow it up, as Dom and I were talking about earlier.
Yes, as we were talking about. Chris, I'm still waiting. Just so you know, when you eventually make that first 80s synth hit single, I better be the first person to get a sample of it. Just saying.
Yeah. I'll need some opinions. But
I'm talking before you even put it
on. In my early 20s and late teenage years, I had a few contracts. We toured around. I was doing some punk rock and hardcore. And so we did some touring across the country and into Canada and stuff, and got to see a shootout in a Canadian's basement on New Year's Eve, and it was lit. It was awesome.
Is that the highlight of your career?
Touring career, yeah, for sure.
This is what I don't get. Chris always makes it sound every single time I tell Chris about something crazy that I do at a party. He's like, oh, that's so crazy and insane, dude. And I'm like, but dude, you were touring as part of a band for the better part of your teenage years. So how is it that anything I do compared to what you've done?
Yeah, you're talking very humbly about it, I will say.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a good thing.
You need to hype that up more.
Well, they didn't quite go the way I wanted them to go, and I feel like I didn't fail myself. I think the rest of the people weren't commitment-wise where I thought they were, which is why I'm going to be doing solo stuff going forward. But, I mean, it's kind of tough. I feel like you're more of a bystander when you're touring. You're just in a city for a few hours, then you leave. Sure, you have a few drinks, you hang out with people, you meet some cool people, but then you got to go to the next place, And Dom, you've done some pretty crazy stuff. We won't get into it here. But
I'm not going to deny that. But what I am saying is that, you always make it sound like, oh, what you're doing is so crazy. And I'm like, dude, I mean, it doesn't sound like you've done stuff that's that much crazier than me. And I have done some wild stuff.
I hate talking about myself. That's why we always have a topic.
I'm very well. That's why I'm constantly forcing you to talk about yourself, because otherwise you never would.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Have you ever traveled around, had any cool experiences, man?
Of course. I just got back from Zimbabwe, actually.
What?
Yeah, I
What
was
are
on
you doing
I was
there?
on a little trip with the zebras. No, I don't do anything. I haven't
Oh, okay.
left. No, you believe that?
Oh man,
I
I
don't
did
think we'd be
believe that.
I fell for it for a second. I
I
fell for
don't
it for a
think we'd
second.
be
You
allowed
don't
out of
under-
the country,
No,
to
no,
be
no, no. You
honest.
don't understand. Yeah, like Chris can tell you, he has gotten me so many times with like the most basic stuff, and it's like, what? You actually fell for that? But I've gotten better. I've gotten better because Chris has got a very predictable poker face. Because I realize now
Yeah,
that
well,
when
you
his
can
face
learn
gets
it.
actually serious, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, you're full of shit.
Well,
Yeah.
so
But
far you're
Jared,
0-1 with me.
Well, that's the thing.
You
I'm
have
still
me.
getting to know you. You know,
I
obviously, I'm not
believe
going
you,
to get
Jared.
it the
Yeah, that's
first
true.
time.
I believed you. I thought you went to Zimbabwe. That's hilarious.
Oh
What
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I wasn't
totally.
the only one. Don't blame me solely for that.
Okay, so we are getting some different questions. Like, I like this. I'm not
Ooh,
used
I
to
like
actually
this.
like having a switch up in questions, but
I love
Dimension
this.
Scott says, "Are you guys tired of SJW being brought up?"
Yes, because like every other term on the internet, it's been completely bastardized from its original meaning.
I agree.
SJWs are now annoying and to me are the equivalent of trolls, and they need to go away because they're killing any sort of originality or creativity on the internet.
But,
Among many other people, I
wait
would
a
like to
minute.
add.
SJW?
It's not just exclusively SJWs, I would like to say.
Oh, like social justice warriors.
Yes.
Here's all I'll say about it, okay? I think it dilutes from the real issues when you have people trying to cancel Spider-Man for something
Oh my god, that stupidity.
Stanley wrote in the 70s about Dr. Octopus. I think that is taking a step backwards. And if you want an example of that, Double Toasted literally put up a video about this being a legitimate thing today. I think it takes away from the actual problems, and that frustrates me and makes me very upset because there's a lot of problems right now. Not going to go
Yeah, for
any
real.
deeper than that because I don't want to talk politics, but I think that's like, I don't know. What do you think, Jaren?
I don't know. I hate SJW stuff. I hate cancel culture. I hate it all. I have such a huge problem with politics being brought up in entertainment at all, which like I know at some point there's like a way that it's useful because they're using their platform to talk about stuff that matters. But then they're also abusing their platform to talk about stuff that doesn't matter, like you said. I don't know, man.
Yeah, like I'm gonna be the first person to bring this up. I think that I think the idea of like I take responsibility for that for the celebrities. I thought that was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. I'm like, what is this? It's not accomplishing anything, and all it is just a way for these celebrities to just draw more attention to themselves, already more than they already have. Like, come on. Like,
Or like it even goes back. When was it? When Kevin Hart was supposed to host the Oscars?
Yeah,
and then
freaking 2 years ago. That stupidity when that went down. Which, like I said, not to bring up old Bill, but like he apologized about that, but then still didn't come back. It's like he had already not taken the job because he said he wasn't going to apologize, but then he apologized. It's like, ugh.
Yeah,
People
like I
can
said, I
change.
just think I think people should be allowed to change. I think what you did at 14 should not stick with you to 50.
Exactly.
I agree.
Because your brain develops and your brain grows. I don't have a
Exactly.
specific example with those numbers. I'm sure there's someone out there who's like getting haunted now for something he did when he was like 11. And it's just kind of like, first off, Kevin Hart was a comedian and comedians take risks and they say things that they don't mean. I don't remember the quite exact details, but I did watch the Joe Rogan podcast and they haven't failed to cancel Joe Rogan yet. So I'll just take sort of like what he said and sort of use it as like the example of, he's a comedian. Like if we can't take risks as comedians, we won't have comedy. And then what do we do without comedy? It seems like a very sad society.
If you have to keep comedy within these specific barriers and you're trying to cater to one side or the other, it takes away all the humor from it. And it's not comedy at that point. Like, what's the point at all? It's supposed to be something that's risky.
Well, this got a lot more
man.
political than I was expecting it to.
Yeah,
I will
let's
say
move
that.
on.
Chris's first goal with like everything is always just like no politics and everything, and then we end up getting like the most political question yet.
That's
Like-
because I'm
Yeah,
with
that's
you,
true.
Jaren. I just want my entertainment as entertainment.
Exactly.
You know?
Yep. Blu-ray Dude says, Jaren, you're into the NBA, right? Yes, I am. I'm a Warriors fan. No, I'm not a
Movies
bandwagon.
podcast? Just saying, like we're getting a lot of sports related questions here. Just saying.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of dig it, though. I kind of dig it.
Me too.
I'm a huge Warriors fan. I liked them before they started winning championships, so I'm not a bandwagon. But as of right now, it's kind of in a weird state. Haven't been following it. Yeah, but any other year, I'm a huge fan. Are y'all into the NBA at all?
Only thing I know about the NBA right now is that I know that they were smuggling, that they were like players were sneaking out in order to like get lap dances from strippers and stuff. And I actually thought that was hilarious because I'm like,
I didn't
wow.
hear that. I had no idea about
You
that.
didn't? Oh, I'll look up the story right now. It was ridiculous. One of the NBA players was like, yeah, I'm like, dude, why is this a story? This should be like common knowledge that these guys are going to do this, obviously.
They're celebrities. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Exactly.
I saw Lynn Sanity in person. I saw
Really?
him hit his first game-winning three-pointer, which was crazy. Because the Knicks tickets were so cheap, we had bought the tickets in advance just as like to hang out with the family that lived in the city. We're a little bit more upstate, and it just happened to work out that they were popping off. So I was into basketball a few years after that, but then they kind of did nothing with Carmelo, and I got frustrated and just stuck to football. So
Also, I'd like to point out Chris still can't say frustrated. I'm sorry, I really don't mean to be a dick, but he keeps saying
frustrated.
Frustrated. I grew up in the Bronx. Go there.
He says
visit.
he says frustrated.
Frustrated.
Like he doesn't say the R. I'm sorry, I just had to point that out.
That kind of rolls
Dom,
rolls
when you
off
travel,
easier.
you realize there's different dialects.
Oh, I agree, but
That's
that doesn't
true.
mean that they're all not hilarious when they happen.
Okay.
Like, trust me, Chris, that is not
If
exclusive
you
to
needed
you.
that moment, Dom.
I did. I really did.
Tune
Dude,
into our
as you said,
podcast Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for more of that kind of stuff.
as you said, there's a lot of doom and gloom in the world right now. I gotta get my kicks in where I can.
Hey, that's
Oh,
good. That's
man.
good.
Couple sports ball comments.
You see, I'm not the only one who uses that term.
Sports ball. Oh,
Yeah, I use it all the time. All the
that's
time.
great. That's
It's
great.
hilarious. I think it's
Favorite
the greatest-
horror villain.
Ooh, that's a loaded question. There's like a lot of different answers to that. Because the problem is that like most of the villains in horror movies end up being the people that I root for. Because the problem is, I mean, they're the villain by default, but then none of the other characters I actually like. So you know what? Okay, actually, I do have an answer for this one. The Clerks, portrayed by Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford in The Cabin in the Woods. Because those guys are just regular office workers. They're just sitting there doing their jobs in this boring office environment, casually doling out death. Spoilers, by the way, casually doling out death to the random batches of teens that end up stumbling onto the various patches in Cabin in the Woods and taking bets on it. I'm just saying that, like, as far as like just realistic horror movie villains go, which is really all that I ask for, like, we're good. Also, I'd like to point out that Bradley Whitford is the villain in two of like the best horror movies ever made, Cabin in the Woods and Get Out. So just a little bit of trivia.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't realize it was the same guy.
Yeah, it's the same guy. I mean, obviously he aged significantly in 5 years, but also as the fact of Cabin in the Woods was supposed to go, I think was filmed in 2006. So that movie was shelved for a while, but yeah, no, it would have to be those two.
That's a good pick. What about you, Chris?
I mean, for me, he's more of an anti-hero, but he plays a villainous role. Ben from Lost, Benjamin Linus.
I have no idea who that is.
Wait a minute. I thought
so
I thought this was exclusive to movies, because if it's TV
No,
too, I ask you.
It says horror. It doesn't say horror movie.
Okay,
so you
I
can
guess,
pick
but like,
whatever
since
you
when is
want.
Lost a horror? That's confusing to me. I thought Lost was like more of like a thriller.
Listen, Benjamin Linus terrified me, and since this is an on-the-spot rapid-fire Q&A, that's the answer I'm going with. If you guys have ever watched Lost, horror doesn't just have to be ghosts and ghouls, and it could be psychological. And that man is a master at the psychological game. So
that I saw too recently that I thought was really funny. Not from like actually being threatening, but just for like being funny. And I'm totally drawing a blank on it. Ugh, whatever. I'll come back to it.
I'm trying to think of my pick. Is Jack Torrance? I guess he's considered a horror villain.
Jack
right?
Torrance would be considered it. Yeah, absolutely.
I'd have to go with that.
Jack
Just the
Torrance is awesome.
psychological
That's a
aspect
good
to it, and the
choice.
way he just like completely goes insane over the course of the movie. I love it. Also, I love Michael Myers, but I don't know if he's my favorite. I like the
I don't like any of those guys. The only one of those guys that I like is Freddy, because he's the only one with an actual personality. None of those other guys, they're all just like stiff walking pieces of wood. They're like, gonna slice you.
That's
and I'm
true.
like,
That's
okay,
very
Wait,
say
have you never even seen the movie, Dom?
What? I've seen Halloween.
No. Friday the
I've seen
Nightmare
Friday
on
the
Elm Street.
I've seen Friday the 13th Part 4. I've seen Nightmare on Elm Street. But from what I've heard, Nightmare on Elm Street, like Freddy's like the only one of those guys with actual personality. But as far as Halloween and Friday the 13th go, I'm like, really? I'm like, what is it that people like about these guys other than the fact that they slash up unlikable teen after like unlikable teen?
Yeah, there's good shock value there, especially in the time. I can only imagine what seeing Halloween in theaters was like.
Yeah, that's where a lot
yeah.
of the kitsch value is. Definitely, it's actually
That's
being able to
crazy.
see those movies in theaters. But this is also during the 70s when like every movie that you watch in theaters was amazing. So
exactly. Yeah.
best decade ever for film.
You think so?
No question. No
That's
question.
a good one.
No
That's a good one.
question. 90s comes close for me, but like the 90s just didn't have the unapologetic, just like willingness to go there that the 70s did.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, I'd defer to Dom on that, hence TV nerds. So,
Chubb's review says, "Are you guys gamers? I'm personally not. Are y'all?"
Chris says, "I am not."
Yeah, I would say I'm a pretty big gamer. Actually, hint, hint, nudge, nudge to something we're launching on the channel this coming Monday.
Yes, indeed.
I play a lot of different kinds of games. I play nightly with some of my good friends who I can't really hang out with in person because they're across the country. We play Overwatch. We play a little bit of Sea of Thieves. And more recently, we've been getting into a game called Smite, which is like people say discount League of Legends for like console and stuff. So I'm on Xbox and I like to play competitive games. But the last story-based game I played was I just got it for the PC. I'm in the middle of it right now. It's called Horizon Zero Dawn. Finally
I've heard
came
of that.
out. It's really good, man. It's like post-apocalyptic, futuristic at the same time, and it's like a really strong female protagonist, which is dope to see. And she's badass, and you get to control her and play her, and it's a good game. So I play a little bit of everything.
I find the terms post-apocalyptic and futuristic interesting, only because like one usually has a really negative connotation to it, and the other one has a really positive connotation. So it's just interesting that you would
That's
use
true.
both of those in the same sentence.
So I guess like it's like nomadic times, but only because technology destroyed our civilization right now that we're in. So it's like this is in the future, and there's like giant like robot dinosaur things you have to fight, but it's still hunter and gatherers. But like the tribal people use like weapons and stuff. It's actually pretty intense.
I can picture it. Yeah, I can see that.
Interesting. Sounds good. Sounds fun.
Luke Review says, by the way, I'm seeing Inception in theaters tomorrow, plus a 10-minute
Of course you are,
preview.
Luke. Of course
pretty
you
cool.
are.
I need to see if my theater close to me is playing it, because I might go see it. I'm not sure. I'm kind of still hesitant to get back out there, but that'd be cool. After seeing Inception the first time not too long ago, I was blown away by that movie. I think it'd be something special to see it in theaters.
Chris, I'm going to let you handle this, but all I'm going to say is that, man, that was an interesting watch along for us.
Oh yeah, Luke was on our Inception watch along.
Yes,
He's
he
a
was.
huge Chris Nolan fan, so
I
I'm
think he
pretty
was
happy
like-
that he gets to go
I-
and see that.
I think he was the one who enjoyed that movie the most upon the rewatch, which I've got an interesting relationship with Inception. Not to say that it's a bad movie, but I'm just saying that like that's like one of those Nolan movies that I rewatch and I'm like, oh, I remember why I didn't think this was a perfect movie.
Really?
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's an exceptionally well-made movie, but as far as like being like that perfect movie that I can come back to over and over again, nah. As far as just from 10 years ago, I go Toy Story 3 over that any day of the week. Toy Story 3 or Social Network, no question.
Those are good ones. I've never actually heard anybody talk bad about Inception, to be honest.
Like, that's the thing. I don't want it to be confused by saying it's bad. It's one of those movies where I'm like, it's good. It's really, really well made. But just like every time I go back to rewatch it, it's like, okay, this requires a lot of focus, And it's just
That's
one of
true,
those things where it's like, it's not necessarily like a casual rewatch. Like, think of it this way. Like, and weirdly enough, these are not going to sound like good examples, but just as far as Nolan goes, like The Dark Knight, I can rewatch that anytime. Batman Begins, I can rewatch that anytime. I just watched Memento the other day. I love that movie. That movie was unbelievable. But even like watching that movie, I was like, okay, I'm struggling to remember what happened like 10 minutes ago because the movie's playing in reverse. And that's good. That's what Nolan does. But at the same time, it requires a lot different of a viewing experience than I'm used to. And Inception kind of falls into that category, which is bizarre because Interstellar, which is the movie that came out after Inception, I'm the total opposite. I can just throw that on and watch that casually. So I
Do
don't
you
know.
like Interstellar?
Love Interstellar. That's a top 5 Nolan for me. I know a lot of
Really?
people don't like that movie and have turned
Yeah,
down
I don't like
movie,
that
but
movie
I'm
at
like,
all. And I'm
no,
a huge space guy, and I just
Right.
could not get into that movie.
I admire that movie's ambition because I think that regardless of any residual plot, first of all, let's face it, story has never been the strongest part of Nolan's movies, but we all kind of know this at this point, even the most diehard of Nolan fans. So yeah, just the fact that that movie, what's it called? Just for how ambitious that movie is, like I admire it from a visual level. It hits me on a very hard emotional level, which I don't think really any other Nolan movie has done, which is very strange and interesting, but
That's good. Yeah, it's a very polarizing film for sure.
yes,
I've noticed
absolutely.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of either of those films, really. I thought I liked Interstellar more than I did, and then we rewatched it on our channel a few weeks ago, and that was my first time seeing it in, gosh, I think 6 years or something like that. 5
Wait,
years.
Interstellar or Inception?
Inception, and so it didn't hold up the way I thought. It kind of was one of those things where the first time seeing it, there was a big shock value there was a big allure, but then kind of once you know what's coming, I felt that there wasn't as much of a rewatchability as I would have wanted. And then with Interstellar, I just felt like it was trying to say a bunch of things I didn't care about. So even if it was incredible at the end, which I didn't think it wasn't for me. So it just wasn't for me in that situation. I see the filmmaking's awesome there. I respect it. Obviously, Chris Nolan's a living legend, in my opinion, but not everything he does lands for me. So
yeah, and I'll agree with that too. Like I said, I'll be the first person to admit, yeah, Christopher Nolan stuff is not for everybody,
Yeah.
So just the fact that he can make those types of movies is incredible to me.
Yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that. Now, I've only seen it once, so like I have my very fresh opinion. I need to go back and rewatch it to really see if I can gather my thoughts more on it. But I know for me, I was blown away. But yeah, his films are very, very divisive, I'd say.
Yes, to say
Like
the least.
like one of my favorite Nolan films is Dunkirk, and a lot of people hate that movie.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch that one because here's the thing: is that I kind of discounted that movie the first time that I saw it, where I was like, "Oh, Christopher Nolan, like this story." I couldn't keep track of it, you know. But I think that I kind of was like willing to offset that movie because it was again like very different from the last couple of movies that he'd done. You know, every movie he'd done since The Dark Knight, with the exception of Dark Knight Rises, he'd done like a very sci-fi based premise, and that seems to be what he's going back to for Tenet. But with that movie, it was total opposite, and it was just like him making like a regular big scale movie, and I kind of like wasn't ready for it. So that's a movie that I'm going to do something on the channel for Christopher Nolan at some point. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what that is, but when that happens, I plan on revisiting Dunkirk and just seeing. The other thing too is I didn't realize how much shorter that was than most of his movies. Like Dark Knight Rises and Interstellar are both borderline 3 hours. Both those movies, and then Interstellar and then Dunkirk is down to an hour 46. I'm like, okay, wasn't expecting that.
It's kind of a nice change of pace, though, to be honest. That's one of the reasons I actually enjoyed it, because it's easily digestible, in my opinion.
Yes.
Let's see. Film Stock's in here. What's up, man? He recently hit 800 subscribers, so congratulations, man.
Dude.
He said, Talkin TV, can't wait to meet you guys over a live eventually.
All right.
It'll happen, man.
It's gonna happen.
We've been talking in DMs. I love what you guys do. Love the new podcast. So we'll make it happen. We're all busy.
Absolutely.
You know, we're all busy.
We're busy,
real
but
life and YouTube.
But if there's one thing
a lot of time.
But if there's one thing we've specialized in, it's getting people. So I was gonna go somewhere on like a funny tangent with that, but
It's late. We're tired, but yeah, man, we love what you do, and we appreciate you saying that, man. We'll make it happen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining, man. Let's see. Stranger Boy says The Big Bang Theory or That 70s
Not even
Show?
a question. That 70s Show. I'm not even gonna
for sure
give The Big Bang Theory the benefit
easily
of an actual answer there, because no fault to you, Stranger Boy 101, but like not even comparable, those two shows.
It's really not. No. Stranger Boy also says Cher or Tina Turner.
I'm
not
gonna go with Cher, but like
I don't know. I'm feeling Tina for this one.
By like an inch.
Yeah, that's
not my wheelhouse either way.
Oh, that's a really good one.
But I'm gonna go with Cher.
Did Tina Turner sing "Proud Mary"?
I will tell you that.
I feel like
I can look it up right now.
Proud Mary is by Creedence Clearwater Revival.
No way. No.
Unless I'm looking at the wrong song. Yeah, left a good job.
Covered it, but
working for the man every night.
Around before Tina Turner. So
did she do like a cover for it, or
I don't know. Like I felt like the only version of that song I've ever heard is a woman, and I
see the reason why I'm picking Cher is because If I Could Turn Back Time is just such a legendary song that
I've never heard that song. I don't think I've ever heard any Cher song in my life.
You're joking. Everyone,
so you don't get copyright.
Everyone's heard that song.
You've definitely heard that song.
Dude, everybody has heard that song.
How does it go? Sing it for me.
What's love got to do with it?
That's true.
Okay. And
Cher
also does have Proud Mary. You're right.
Yeah. Speaking of which, what's love got to do with it, dude? Remember the what's Dean got to do with it in
Community
in Paradise?
I'm going Tina Turner.
Community. Like I said, I'm gonna stick with Cher, even though I did just look it up because that one song is so legendary. But it was close.
Yeah,
it's close. Camera direction.
That was a very close one. That was like 50-50 with them. Like, even if one did get it, it would be like a 51 over.
Jared, I like the eclecticness of your audience, man.
It's pretty great. I love it.
It's
Very
really
loose,
cool.
very casual.
It's never like this.
Dude, I haven't been this casual in front of a camera for like anything related to the podcast in like months. It's pretty
really
great.
That makes me feel good. Yeah, I love doing this.
Dude, this
like
is awesome.
It's always so I don't like it to be like super structured. I just like it
that.
laid back and stuff. That's why I want to start a podcast, like my own podcast, where I can just talk. I don't have to
all
have
I'm gonna say is my advice for that, especially given how into movies you are, start watching spill.com, dude. Most of their old stuff is on YouTube. They are the artists who are now known as Double Toasted. It was Corey Coleman's first thing that he did in the late 2000s.
Oh, okay.
2007 and 2013. It's mostly audio, but what they did is they did animation over their audio reviews, and it's some of the funniest stuff you'll ever hear on the internet. Like I just recently got into their Step Up reviews, and all I'm gonna say is that thank God they're not around today, because they would be eradicated by the PC crowd. Oh man.
And you said it's spill.com?
Spill. But you can just look up Spill. It doesn't have to be spill.com. Just look up Spill and like picture like any big movie that was released between 2007 and 2013. I guarantee you they covered it.
I'd recommend starting with their Scott Pilgrim review. I think it's
Scott
quite
Pilgrim
hilarious.
is pretty good, but for me,
I gotta watch the movie first.
Probably their funniest one, just because it's like it's a direct dig at PC culture. The way that I see it is their Tropic Thunder review. That's amazing.
Also, what's
Sweet.
up, Ron? It's been a long time, man. You're going to be on our channel coming up soon. I'm excited about that. It's a lot of old friends in here. This is cool.
Yeah, certain vids is in here. Certain vids has a request, I think.
Here,
certain vids has a question, I think.
What's up?
Okay. I'm kind of backed up, so we're gonna do like a little speed round and then I'll get there. Film Stock says thoughts on Shia LaBeouf possibly being cast as Iceman in the MCU. I'm down for it.
Love Shia LaBeouf being in the MCU, but he's the wrong choice for Iceman. I would want somebody like a little bit more younger and fresh face. Shia LaBeouf, if Shia LaBeouf is playing Cyclops or Wolverine, I'd be down for any one of those guys. Any one of those casts.
Those are good too. I just want to see him in the MCU. I don't know too much about Iceman, to be honest, but like
weirdly
as long as he's in the MCU somehow.
Weirdly enough, I know a couple people were saying Joe Keery for Human Torch, but the more I think about it, I'm like, nah, put Joe Keery as Iceman. That shit would be dope. Dude,
that would be cool.
I'd want to see. Oh, sorry. I'd want to see both of them in the MCU. I am not too familiar with the Iceman character, but I would like to see Shia LaBeouf in the MCU.
For sure.
Iceman's one of those characters that like you get whatever actor is playing him, like that's Iceman. There's not like a lot of personality involved with that character necessarily.
Gotcha.
Per se. It's all in the actor to like really give a lot to that performance.
Cool. Film Fanatic says favorite movie from 2003.
Well, I mean, you've already got it as the thumbnail, Return of the King, no question. Although a lot of great movies that year, 2003, underrated year.
I have to go with School of Rock.
That's
what
a good choice.
Chris?
Oh wait, I already know what Chris's favorite choice is. It's Last Samurai.
Okay, thanks,
really?
Tom. Because I'm terrible. Yes,
Last Samurai came out. Well, I mean, I know
Tom.
like a bunch of others off the top of my head, like that Finding Nemo, Kill Bill Volume 1, Monster, Lost in Translation.
Thanks, Tom, because I'm terrible at dates and the on the spot shit scares me.
Oh,
so
I got you.
there.
I got you. That's what I'm here for. Elf was that year. Brother Bear was that year.
Good year.
Wow, that is a good year.
Bad Boys 2, good year.
That's my
good
birth year. That's when I was born.
Oh, really? Oh, you
Yeah.
Damn, I'm oldest.
Dude, you're my cousin's age? What?
I'm 17.
Baby, dude. You're a baby. Oh my god, that's adorable.
Adorable. Yep, for sure.
It is.
Ellie for Movie Files is in here. What's up, Ellie?
Hell
Thanks
yeah.
for joining. Let's see. Stranger Boy says, I hate sports. Sports balls scare me.
Okay, wait, was he the one that was asking a bunch of sports questions before?
No, I don't think so.
He asked a differdifferent question. I forget
I
what
think it was Luke Reviews.
He asked the Big Bang Theory question.
Dude, I'm seeing a couple of questions from here that I definitely want to see. Like, what's this
Yeah, McLovin, favorite rom-com.
Oh, that's a good choice. That's a really good choice. So that was my choice, but then I saw Crazy Stupid Love recently, so it was like a toss-up between those two. But like 500 Days of Summer is probably number one for me. That's a great choice.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, people are gonna hate this, man, but I'm actually like trying to write a rom-com at this point.
Oh,
So
no,
I've been
well,
doing
here's
some
the thing.
research.
Again, giving yourself not enough credit before you start, dude. I'm telling you, you're not writing a typical rom-com, though. That's what you got to give yourself
That's
credit
true.
for.
I don't want to get into the details on the show, but so I've been doing some research, and I gotta say I've been thinking a lot about just go with it since I watched it. So I'm gonna go with that for now.
That's a good one.
It's really good, I think. Yeah.
Of course, Adam
Mine
Sandler
is,
knows it's not completely terrible.
yeah, it's not bad at all. I really like Jennifer Aniston too. So,
Yeah.
my favorite has got to be When Harry Met Sally. Have y'all seen that movie?
Good one.
Is it a rom-com?
Yeah, it is.
It's like very, very like. It's got a different kind of sense of humor to
I
it.
feel like it was a precursor to a lot of like the early Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan rom-coms that came out in the early 90s. You know,
Yeah.
like Got Mail, Sleepless in Seattle, all those ones.
I don't know.
I
It's
feel
just
like When Harry
always
Met Sally
really
was a
worked for
weird
me.
precursor to those.
That's true. Yeah. Film Geeks. What's up, Trevor? He says, "What's up, bro? What's up, man? Thanks for joining." Favorite movie of the year so far?
King of Staten Island.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, me too. King of Staten Island.
I mean, I can read off my top 10 for the year if you guys don't mind. I'll make a quick rapid
Yeah,
fire.
go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
Yo,
I've
speaking
actually
of that, somebody
I've
said you
actually
look
seen
like Pete
10
Davidson.
movies so far this year.
Someone said you remind them of Pete Davidson.
Everyone says that, dude. Everyone fucking says that. Sorry, F-bomb.
Sorry,
But yeah,
Darren, I knew
everyone
he didn't
says
hear.
that.
He was on a tangent.
Dude, friggin', it's him or Nat Wolf. Those are the two that I always get. I'm like, dude, I've got more hair and I don't think I look like a Muppet. So I don't know.
I see Nat Wolf way more. Now that you
Everyone,
said
yeah,
that, I
that's what
totally
everyone
see
says.
that.
Nat Wolf or Pete Davidson. Those are the only two I get. But like, I got Pete Davidson once when I was on a background gig, and I'm like,
All right,
Okay.
Tom, what's that top 10? Let's fire
All
through
right,
it.
number
What's the top
10,
10?
Guns Akimbo. Number 9, The Lodge. Number 8, Birds of Prey. Number 7, The Gentleman. Number 6, To Five Bloods. Number 5, Palm Springs. Number 4, Big Time Adolescence. Number 3, Bad Education. Number 2, The Invisible Man. Number 1, The King of Staten Island.
That's a great list.
Thanks.
Oh, and The Lodge is probably like the scariest, the
Lodge,
freakiest movie I've seen in forever.
Okay, controversial
good.
opinion. Better Hereditary than Hereditary.
That
Because there was no BS supernatural stuff in this movie.
Yeah,
And
when
it
I
was
actually
much better
reviewed it, I
movie.
said it's the most like it's the thing that made me the most uncomfortable since when I saw
Yeah.
Hereditary.
Dude, I was like so back and forth on that movie about whether I was gonna love it or hate it. And then it was the total opposite of Hereditary. Hereditary was the same thing. I ended it and I'm like, I hate this movie. And this movie, with that ending with the tape, I'm like, done. This is one of my favorite movies of the year. This is incredible.
It was
Yo,
so
low-key,
good.
I've been afraid to watch both of those, but do I have to see them?
Hereditary, yes. The Lodge, maybe.
Okay.
But dude, you haven't watched Hereditary yet? Like, I get it because
No,
Midsommar, we were all burned, but no, you got to watch Hereditary.
So y'all
Gotcha.
didn't like Midsummer?
No, hated it.
Oh, I loved it.
That was this close.
See, I loved it.
That was
Yeah.
this close to being in like some of my worst of the year last year.
My opinion constantly changes on that movie, but I think
The first 10 minutes of that movie are good. The rest, I'm just like, why? I didn't.
That's just Ari Aster as a filmmaker. You're either gonna love
he's a
his
good
stuff or hate
filmmaker.
his
He makes
stuff.
stuff look pretty. There's a lot of other better directors who could actually come up with interesting stories. And I hate that it hides behind the A24 logo because I'm like, I'm waiting for that guy's next movie to be like actually bad. I really am. I'm not rooting for it, but I'm just like, I'm waiting for it to happen.
The thing is, who else would produce a movie like that besides A24?
No, that's what I mean. I appreciate it, but at the same time, A24 already gave us Robert Eggers, which I am a much bigger fan of than Ari.
So did you like The Lighthouse?
That was top 10 of the. That was top 5 of the year for me.
I
Last year.
love the movie so
That
much.
movie's
incredible.
That's another one. People either love it or hate it. And I don't
I love that
understand why
movie.
people
I
hate
put
the movie.
that in my top 10 A24s over The Witch.
I also love The
That's-
Witch.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is also
I do
great.
too. But I think The Lighthouse is way better for sure. He also asks thoughts on the Saw franchise.
I've only seen the first 2, but they're fine from what I've seen. The first 2. I heard the franchise gets weird though.
It does. You saw the 2 good ones. After, yeah, that's true. Number 3, after that, it starts going really, really downhill.
Oh man, that's
Like,
funny.
so bad.
They're like, yeah,
it
you saw
goes-
the good ones. I'm like, that's good to
Yeah.
know.
It goes from clever, like sort of clever, to like just really over the top, not caring about anything, but just showing a bunch of blood and guts on the screen.
Yeah, the thing that I keep seeing about it is that the kind of the thought process that came to my head about the first one is because I take a different outlook on horror movies because most horror movies are the same to me. And I'm like, okay, it's impressive that this got made on this low of a budget and it got all these celebrities for this movie. That to me is the most impressive.
Yeah.
What's even more impressive is Lee Winnell coming out of that movie and doing 2 of the most surprising horror action movies to me of the last couple of years, that being Upgrade and then Invisible Man.
I
And
still haven't seen Upgrade.
Upgrade's awesome. Upgrade's
Yeah, that's
really
what I've heard.
Upgrade's more of an action movie than a horror movie, but it ends like a Black Mirror episode. That's why I give that movie a lot of credit. I'm like, I want more movies like this.
Yeah, I've only seen the first Saw. It was cool. I enjoyed it, but I have no reason to rewatch it. I saw it once. I know what it's all about. I haven't seen the rest of the franchise, and I haven't been clawing at the bit to cross that off my list. You know what I mean? But I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I think it's aged a lot too. It's one of those that I don't know. There's a lot of things about it. It's kind of gotten outdated to me.
Yeah, it's all based on the filmmaking.
I
think
just
Yeah.
watched it because I wanted to see Michael Emerson in like a popular movie. And that was
you're
pretty
like
much
Michael
it.
Emerson is something other than Lost, which
Yeah,
I might
exactly,
never
exactly.
see again.
McLovin says favorite unconventional love movie. Her is number 1 for me. That's what I would go
That's
with
a
as
good
well.
one. Her Warm Bodies is an interesting choice. This is a good one. You know that Swedish vampire movie? I never remember which one is the Swedish one and which one is the American one that Matt Reeves did, but it's Let Me In and Let the Right One In. I think Let the Right One In is the original Swedish version. It's about a kid who falls in love with this little girl who just to be like a 100-year-old vampire. Matt Reeves, the director of the last 2 Apes movies, directed the American remake, which starred Cody Smith-McPhee and Chloe Grace Moretz. It came out in 2010. It's actually really, really fascinating, both of those movies. I would heavily recommend them.
I've
Just
never
for
even heard of
vampire
them.
fans. Bro,
So-
write them down. Let the Right One In and Let Me In. They're both really good.
I'm struggling
Sweet.
a bit with like the unconventional things. So I gotta ask, does Lady Bird count? Or is that just like traditional coming of age type
That's a
thing?
coming of age. I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
yes,
all coming of
but
age. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have one right now. Maybe if I think of it later, I'll chime in. But I don't want to say something that I'm just gonna. I want it to mean something if I'm gonna say it. So
Yeah, that was the movie
Alright.
that started to make me realize, Timothy Chalamet is not that great of an actor.
I had an unpopular opinion. I think I was on Colin Williams' stream yesterday, actually, and they were asking, they're like, what's an actor or actress that is so overhyped, but you just think is not that great? And it took me a second, but I ended up saying Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet is one of them. Jared Leto's another one, but I think people are finally catching on to Jared Leto. There's a couple others but I'm not necessarily as good with questions like that. But yeah, no, Timothy. I mean, I can't wait for Dune, but I'm not looking forward to it for Timmy. You know, Timmy T. By the way, speaking of which, I gotta put a video in the comment section of this. By the way, once we're done, it's a video. I don't know if you guys see it. It's called Timothy Chalamet Statistics Rap. It was when he was like a senior in high school. He made a rap video about statistics. It's like one of the worst things ever. And every time I'm like, and every time he like starts to get more and more pretentious, I just go back and turn on that video on YouTube. I'm like, this is just the breath of fresh air that I needed. A little reality check. It's amazing. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen on YouTube. It's hilarious.
You know what? I'll go with Edward Scissorhands because my parents loved that film and I saw it a lot growing up.
Oh, that's a good one. That's actually really
good. Like a little kid like favorite of mine. Like watching that, have fond memories.
If we're going down the Burton route, then would Ed Wood count? Because I mean, he is in love with multiple different people in the movie, even though that's not the focus of the movie. So I guess Ed. You know, screw it, Ed Wood. I'll put in Ed Wood because that one's great.
I've never actually seen that movie. I've heard of it, but I've never
it's
seen
between that and Edward Scissorhands for Burton's best movie.
Really? I like Edward Scissorhands a lot.
Also, fun fact, Ed Wood from our area grew up in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Really?
Yep. Director of famously directed the worst movie of all time. Although I think he pretty much got replaced with Shyamalan when Shyamalan made The Last Airbender, that movie that we shall not talk about.
What was the worst movie of all time at the time?
It's called Plan 9 from Outer Space. It's like it's got the record for like being the worst movie ever made.
I've never even heard of it.
Dude,
wait, so it surpassed The Room? I don't feel like The Room.
No, it's worse than The Room, dude.
Oh my god,
this makes The Room look like an Academy Award winner. I'm telling you, it's amazing.
It kind of makes me want to check it out,
dude. I'm telling you, Plan 9 from Outer Space. Even the movie's so bad that Seinfeld made a joke about it being the worst movie of all time.
That's crazy. Least favorite genre and favorite movie or show in that genre.
Chris, I kind of want you to start this one first.
Yeah.
Yeah, my least favorite genre is action films, and my least favorite movie that I've seen in action films is The Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Because even when it didn't center around the main franchise, I still hated it. Possibly even more.
Yeah, I don't hate any genre depending on. I don't hate any genre depending on, because every genre to me has good movies, but there are certainly genres that I'm like, yeah, I'm not going out of my way to watch this. And for me, again, ironically enough, the two that we actually just talked about would be horror and rom-com. Those are the two genres that I'm like, for the most part, horror shifted a little bit because they finally actually started learning how to make good horror movies. Rom-coms, the problem is those just stopped being profitable in theaters, so they dump them all to Netflix, and I'm like, okay, that's like I'm not going out of my way to watch The Kissing Booth or any new movie that Bella Thorne's in, or like Always Be My Maybe. I'm not going out of my way to watch any of those, you know? So... Yeah. Or any of the new Adam Sandler, whatever those are. I'm not watching any of those. So, but I mean, I do have movies in those genres that I like. Like, I like all the new, for the most part, all the new Blumhouse and all the new A24 movies, with the exception of Ari Aster. And there are certain rom-coms that I watch that I do like. I usually am more of a fan of a depressing rom-com ending. Like,
right. Same with me with the action films, but for the most part, they're not my cup of tea, you know? But I always respect the filmmaking in anything. So.
Yeah, I'll agree that the action genre is definitely a little bit overtired, and that's another genre that, like, I'm like, oh, I really don't go out of my way to watch a lot of good action movies.
Yeah, action was actually going to be my pick too, but as of, like, favorite movie or show in that genre, wait, is he saying least favorite or favorite in that genre?
Least favorite genre and favorite movie or show in that genre. So the favorite.
Oh, so I answered it wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I technically gave my answer before. If I read this summer for rom-com, and then Cabin in the Woods for horror. Even though Cabin in the Woods isn't technically a horror comedy, but like Cabin in the Woods is like the ultimate deconstructionist horror piece. So
my favorite action movie has got to be Mission Impossible Fallout, but for show, I have no idea. Like, I don't watch a ton of television.
For show, I'd go with 24. It's a good show.
I've heard that's a good
action show. That's a problem. I don't watch a lot of action shows. I mean, I guess Game of Thrones, but like that's got the most action in it out of all the shows I watch. But I don't watch straight up action shows.
Yeah, they're tough to come by, kind of.
Yeah,
though.
they really are.
But action movie, I don't know. They're all kind of the same. Whatever. Kingsman. The first Kingsman actually is pretty brilliant.
You know what? Yeah, the first Kingsman and the first Kick-Ass. I'll count Kick-Ass as an action movie.
Oh yeah, if Kick-Ass counts, then Kick-Ass.
Anything Matthew Vaughn directs is good.
I haven't seen either of them.
Dude.
Ooh, watch those. I promise this isn't some dumb Chris suggestion. Those are good films.
You got a list, dude. You got to watch those just for Chris. But yeah, no, Kingsman is actually great.
Sweet. McLovin says, "What's a movie that everyone likes or loves?" I would say Shawshank Redemption. I have never met anyone who doesn't like that movie.
So wait,
It's my
hold on,
favorite movie of all time.
That was an incomplete question, though. That was an incomplete question. What's a movie that everyone likes or loves?
That's any
literally
movie.
any movie ever made. Like, come on.
Okay,
our
then we'll
favorite
switch it
movie-
up a little bit. We'll switch it up a little bit. I'll just kind of tweak the question a little bit. What's a movie that everyone loves that you do not?
Okay, that's where I thought that was going at first.
I did too.
Okay. I always hate these questions because it's ridiculously difficult for me to think.
It is
Oh,
hard.
Highlander. That's a kind of a cult classic, and I just never saw the appeal for it. I
Oh
watched
man,
it,
there
I'm
can
like,
only be
this-
one, Dom.
I'm like, this is whatever. I'm like, it's corny, it's fun. Sean Connery's kind of ridiculous in it. But yeah, although I will switch that up though and say from the opposite end, movie that people hate that I actually think is an underrated masterpiece. That'd be Michael Bay's Pain and Gain. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a giant Michael Bay fan secretly. I'm saying because that's probably his best made movie. Although
That's not a bad movie.
It's a great movie, honestly. It's The Rock's best performance.
For sure. Yeah, I was gonna say I like that movie actually. What about you, Chris?
For me, I'll go with Endgame. Like, I don't hate it, but I will never use the word love and Endgame in the same sentence.
Would you
Unless
use
I
that
love when
word?
the second it ends.
Would you use that word in a in the same sentence as any MCU movie that's not named Guardians of the Galaxy?
Probably not.
So you
Not
like
even
Guardians
Iron
more
Man?
than
I
Avengers
bet you
Endgame?
like the first Iron Man at least.
I did actually. I'd say
Yeah,
I love the
first Iron Man. Yeah, I don't know.
Dom
I'm
knows me a little too well.
I do
sometimes.
a little bit.
But
Yeah, I don't know your whole
out.
outtake on the MCU. I don't know your.
Oh,
the way
Chris
you
is a
look at
very
it, 'cause I know it's
controversial
different.
MCU.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not gonna
mean-
say feuded over, but I'll say feuded over multiple times.
Elliot doing those watch-alongs on Movie Files channel. Certainly, I binged those movies over quarantine to catch up and prepare and refresh my memory, and I actually grew an appreciation for them. I realized that they're not for me, but that doesn't mean there isn't some awesome stuff in it. But I just get a little tired of minute 15 in. There's big first action scene, and then by minute 30, small character moment. Like, you just kind of see the same patterns emerge. And that's a little, like, it's filmmaking. Like, it doesn't have to be so to the script. You can do something a little, it just doesn't, sometimes they don't feel artistic. And that's my problem with action films as a whole, though. The MCU, I think, are better action films, like top tier action films. But that's just my personal taste.
Yeah, wait. I'm going back and actually rewatching all the films right now because
Oh,
I'm
nice.
reviewing them. Yeah, I'm reviewing them individually leading up to Black Widow. But as I go back and rewatch them, people might not like this, but I'm starting to really see how formulaic they actually are.
Yeah, they do get really formulaic, and it becomes
The
like
more I
watch.
watch them, the more I get tired of them. Yeah.
But Jaren, I don't want to make it seem like I'm being a hater. It's
Yeah,
just like
I get you.
they're not for me,
Right. Yeah.
And it's frustrating because I'm like, you have so much talent.
Sure, again.
So much talent on every screen, every frame, like behind the scenes. I don't know. But
For
you
sure.
kind of feeling the same way, though, you're saying, in other words?
Yeah, I'm starting to get there. I am.
Yeah,
So
I was riding
now-
the bandwagon way more before.
So now my question is, so only because I know for a fact that you didn't have time to go through and watch all my MCU ranking videos. So can I just run my quick Infinity Saga ranking all 1 through 22? It'll be super
Nah, we
quick.
don't got time for
Of
that.
course
Next
you can.
question.
Okay,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Go ahead. Go
overruled.
ahead.
Overruled by the channel host, Chris. Nice try. Not our channel. Yeah,
I was
so real
just
quick.
kidding.
So I did one lap. Okay, yeah. So number 22 at the bottom. This should come as no surprise. Thor: The Dark World, because it sucks. It's the only actual bad MCU movie. Number
Agreed.
21, Doctor Strange. 20, Iron Man 3. 19, Ant-Man and the Wasp. 18, Civil War. 17, Iron Man 2. 16, Spider-Man Homecoming. 15, Incredible Hulk. 14, Thor Ragnarok. 13, Captain Marvel. 12, Thor. 11, Ant-Man. 10, Age of Ultron. 9, Black Panther. 8, First Avenger. 7, Winter Soldier. 6, Iron Man. 5, The First Avengers. 4, Avengers Endgame. 3, Guardians Volume 2. 2, Guardians of the Galaxy. 1, Infinity War.
Wow, there's a lot of controversial.
Yeah,
picks in
there
your list.
is. Yeah, there is.
Wow. Okay, number 1, you have Captain Marvel above Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah,
That's
I do.
that's
Yeah, I do. I
crazy.
think Thor Ragnarok is very overrated. It's not bad, but it's very overrated, I think, as a movie.
also the one that stuck out to me the most. Probably is that you
Civil
have.
War is as low as it is.
Oh well, but also
Yeah.
that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is so high on your list.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is one of the best MCU movies. It's a
I
movie that
like
I
it,
love.
but people hate it so
Dude,
much.
I know. That's what confuses me. I don't get it. I'm like, Volume 2,
Yeah, I don't hate it.
arguably at some point, I'll say, I think the thing that holds it back is that it's a sloppier movie than Volume 1. But Volume 2 to me
sure.
does things that, A, improve on the first one and continue the first one in such a better way than I thought it was going to. And also, like, the emotion that comes out of that movie, I don't think I've seen in any other MCU movie. Like,
I
at
have
all.
to agree with you.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Damn, Mick Levin, you spawned a good tangent, my
Yeah, you
friend.
did.
That was a good
Yeah, you did.
question.
Let's see. Favorite and least favorite aspect of being a YouTuber slash podcaster.
That's weird because one thing is both my favorite and least favorite aspect. That's just the
Me
constant
too.
grind.
All right, let's hear yours,
Constant
Dom.
having to put out stuff nonstop. It's fun. It keeps me busy. It keeps me on my toes, and I always have something to do. But at the same time, just like I also feel like I can just never get a break, especially because I have to balance it out with everything else I have going on in my real life. So
That's so true.
Yes, that's weird. Obviously, but again, like literally everything that I say is both a thing that I both hate and love, because it's like I hate having to learn all the new stuff that I have to do as part of YouTube in order to keep up with it, but I also love learning new stuff because it's so much stuff that I think is so cool, and I'm like, man, if I could travel back in time and tell myself from 4 years ago all the stuff that I know now, I would be unstoppable, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Dude,
So boom, I flipped your question on its head, Elliot.
Dom, that was the same. The one thing I was going to say is, for me personally, it's a little more broad. It's the scheduling, because with us too, you know, in the film review world and the TV review world, you want to hit things when they come out, because you want to try and compete for that real estate, but you also have to make your channel feel personable and fun. And also we want to talk about, like, I love Lost, and that's never going to be trendy again. I understand that.
Oh,
so
disagree.
It's
It'll
like
be trendy again.
I agree.
Man.
I think it'll have its time.
4 more years when it hits the 20-year anniversary, dude. Since the premiere.
But
It'll
I guess
be
it's
trendy
like,
again.
you know, it's like the schedule makes me have a set routine, which I love, that I need, but also like, just like, I never want to let myself down. So I hate when that does happen every now and then. It makes me feel bad and good at the same time, because I love doing this so much. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of fun. That's what I mean. Like, I've gotten too used to doing it over the years. I remember, it's still so funny when I go back on my old channel and watch the first ever videos that I uploaded. I shot them on like my iPhone at my grandma's house with like terrible lighting, awful quality. It was like one of the first couple iPhones. It was terrible. I was talking about movies that I hadn't even watched yet about the Oscars. Oh man, it was bad.
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
For
oh
me,
my God, Colin, I'm sorry. I'm just reading these comments, and I'm like, Colin, I'm sorry. I get it.
I'm sorry. I'm so
Guardians
slow.
2 is not awful. I'm sorry. You gotta get better at that. Guardians 2 is not awful.
I said we were gonna do like a super fast catch up, and I have not done good at that. There's so many comments.
You had me on there. There was never any such thing that was gonna
happen. My least favorite thing is probably stupid. It's the dislike button. I don't maybe it shouldn't bother me as much
on your videos, or just the fact that it exists.
The fact that it exists, because, well, kind of both, because to me, I spend a lot of time making videos, and sometimes like I'll get a ton of likes, but then a few dislikes, and I'm like, I just wish I could know the thought process behind those people that hit the dislike button. Like, what did you not like about it?
Because I feel like I've basically taken over this entire episode, but I'm gonna say that it's kind of tools of the trade. Just one of the things you kind of just got to get used to as far as being on this thought process, on this platform, and just being on the internet in general. It's something that a lot of people talk about. They know that like haters gonna hate, all that stuff. I can't believe that became a trending part of our pop culture thing, but whatever. My thoughts on Taylor Swift aside, again, it's a part of the territory, and you just got to get used to it. I learned a long time ago that, hey, just because, look at it this way too, just because something gets a lot of dislikes also equals a lot of views. That's the thing that I always come back to. And I learned that a long time ago, is that I'm like, look, it sucks, but hey, they watched it. And my Call Me By Your Name review from back in the day, I famously did not like that movie, and it is one of my most watched videos on my channel. I think it's actually my second most watched video. It's sitting at like 850 views on
People
my
love
old
negativity.
Yeah, I hate that. That's what I hate the most about social media, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree with
that.
Like,
if this is a platform where content creators are creating, why should there be a like or a dislike button? Like, just interpret it for yourself. That's what art's supposed to be.
Exactly.
You know?
That's why I don't like the dislike button, because like, if it's not for you, just go on. Find something else that is for you. But also, I like to constantly improve, and so when people dislike and then don't tell me what I can improve upon, I don't know, it just gets to me. But
it's very demeaning. It's very demeaning, and it's very hurtful. And as far as just like, the negativity goes, the problem is that that's not how people are engineered. That's not how people are made.
Exactly,
It really sucks, because, because the biggest thing to me that's the most insulting to me personally, it has nothing to do with the fact that they're deconstructive, hurtful trolls. I get it. That's just people. That's just part of the game. My problem is like, dude, there's so many other better things to do with your time. Why are you just going through YouTube, just like trying to mess up somebody else? What else somebody else is trying to do,
That's very true.
That's what kills me more than anything.
Yeah. But then my favorite part is the community. Just meeting new people.
That's great.
Just getting to talk to people. Number one, having them comment on my videos and interact. But then also like doing live streams with people weekly like I do. Like, that is so fun. It is so cool.
especially in the loose freeform format. And also another thing that you could do with trolls is just mess with them. Oh man, if there's one thing I learned, it is fun to mess with trolls.
Jaren,
luckily, I don't have
know,
anybody like comment harshly on my videos. I haven't had that yet. I just have people dislike.
Thank God.
Yeah, I hope we. I feel like that's a sign of you're doing the right thing.
Yeah,
I hope so.
I think that's a good thing, even though it might suck a little bit. You know, we haven't quite gotten there yet. You know, I hope we don't get a lot of dislike, but if we do, I feel like it's still like, you know, people are watching what you're putting your time into, right? And that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? So.
Yep, for sure. Certain vid says, "What my dudes? What's up? What's up, man? Thanks for joining." He's been in some of y'all's watch-alongs, right?
Soon to be announced. Soon to be
Okay.
announced.
All right, all right. I got you.
He had a
John,
couple questions before that I liked, but
have we gotten to them yet, or are they down the line?
I think they're down more.
Oh my gosh, there are so many questions. Okay.
I know. Can we do this for like another hour? I love this.
Sure, I don't care. John Cena or Dwayne Johnson?
John Cena.
Dwayne
Only
Johnson.
because I'm thinking strictly WWE, and
I'm thinking as far as
I
movies
was a
go.
huge WWE fan. So
I'm thinking as far as movies go because I don't watch wrestling. The Rock has so much charisma and personality. I miss that he doesn't like actually give performances anymore and he just plays himself and everything. But yeah, John Cena still has yet to convince me of anything. I'm sure he'll be good in Suicide Squad because James Gunn could direct a toaster to give a good performance. But
I would have to go with Dwayne Johnson as well. I don't keep up with the WWE, and like Dom said, I haven't seen anything from John Cena when it comes to movies that has impressed me at all.
12
the
rounds.
Marine was pretty pathetic, but
12 rounds
I was
with
just thinking strictly wrestling. So
12 rounds with Aiden Gillen, aka Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, as the bad guy. That movie is not good, but it's not bad either, if that makes any sense.
All right. It's tolerable.
Yes, it's tolerable. It's a generic action movie, and it's got plenty of tension in it.
Sweet.
And a lot of familiar faces, too.
McLovin says La La Land or Whiplash. Both are in my top 10 of all time, but La La Land for me. See, they're both in my top 10 as well. I have to go with Whiplash.
You broke my heart here, McLovin. That's not even a question to me. To me, Damien Chazelle has still only made one great movie, and that is Whiplash.
Serious?
That is Whiplash. I don't like La La Land. I'm not a big fan of it. I'll be the first person to admit I'm not a musicals guy. I like the older stuff. I like Sound of Music. I like Mary Poppins. But as far as all the new musicals that I've seen, I've not seen one that I've liked. And I don't count
First Man?
First Man is good. It's not great.
It's amazing.
I think it's very good. I think it's technically well made. I think it's a little bit too melancholy for its own good. That to me is a movie that I never usually say this, but that to me is the one movie where it's like you almost needed to take your emotion out of it. And I know that sounds really counterintuitive, but at least for what that movie does, you know, it's kind of the same reason why I liked Ad Astra a lot, because Ad Astra was all about talking about the emotion as the metaphor for the movie, but without actually having the characters actually have to be sad face, you know, if that makes any sense.
The way I see it, I love Ad Astra too, but have you guys seen Apollo 11, that documentary?
Actually, yes, I did, and I really enjoyed it, but that's a documentary. This is
okay, but
film.
to me, I feel like looking at Apollo 11 and looking at First Man, it does a lot of similar things. I think First Man did a lot of a huge, amazing job at capturing the real stuff that happened, and I think portraying it in a theatrical sort of way. That's why it kind of got to me. I think when you're talking about space exploration films, there's a lot of different ways you can tell the story. So for me, I really enjoyed it, but I understand why people don't.
Yeah. Again, I agree with that and the thing that I've liked about is that you look at all the space movies we've gotten this past decade since 2013. I think there's been 5 or 6. There's Gravity, Interstellar, The Martian, First Man, Ad Astra. I think that's all of them. So 5 of them, and they're all completely different movies. That's what I love about them. But at the same time, there's a reason why I consider First Man to be the weakest out of them.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. And La La Land to me is just not good. I'm so beyond happy that Moonlight won over that movie for so many different reasons, but namely because La La Land is the traditional Oscar choice. And that to me, if that movie had won, it would have been 12 steps backwards. And Moonlight, when that won, in the way that it won, it's almost like it was an accidental reinforcement of, no, this is the way things should be as far as filmmaking goes. And then it just continued to take step back after step back after step back with every Best Picture until Parasite. I'm like, okay. And when Parasite won, I was like, okay, there might be some hope. That was before movie got canceled forever, though. So there's that.
I like La La Land. I'd have to go with Whiplash over this, but what's your pick, Chris?
I haven't seen either, and I have a lot of films I got to catch up before these ones. So I'm just gonna trust both of you guys' judgment on this. So,
All right. Let's see. Ronald E. Smith says, "Hey, talking movies. How are y'all doing, young gentlemen? What's your favorite anime film?"
Chris.
For me, it's Akira. That film is absolutely beautiful. I have watched a documentary on the process behind it, and they literally like burnt their fingers down to like the bone, making every single frame of that film perfect. It's just so cool. It's like in this cyberpunk city, and the color palette is awesome, and it's like an old film, and it's very impressive animation, and it's just, yeah, it's a brilliant movie. So if you guys haven't heard of Akira, go check it out. It's something in it for everyone, I'm telling you.
I gotta watch
Subtitles
that one.
only.
That's the subtitles only one, no dubs.
Anything anime. Gotta respect the source material, man.
No, that's the thing. I agree with that, and it's funny too because I think this is just like my computer telling me what I needed. But I started watching Spirited Away on a site, and it was dubbed, and it wasn't terrible. But then the site locked me out for whatever reasons. But I found that there was a free copy on YouTube, but with only subtitles, and I watched it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is the way to watch it.
It made it better, right?
It made it a lot better. It made it a lot better. Yeah. What's it called? But yeah. So I don't know about this, but I remember, I think the only full-length anime movie that I've actually watched that's not Studio Ghibli is Ninja Scroll. And that movie is fascinating, to say the least. Oh, man, there's a rock giant that, like, kills a girl and then, like, does some stuff with her body. I'm not going to go into detail with it. There's a girl that has a snake slithering out of her parts. There's a lot of craziness in that movie. I was very, very taken aback, but also I'm like, I am fascinated by this. This is stuff that I have never seen in a movie before. But let's go.
Wow.
But no, forward to, because I know the Taika Waititi's making that. I also want to watch the original Ghost in the Shell from the 80s. I heard that movie's incredible.
Awesome.
And were
really
those the only ones that weren't Studio Ghibli? And then pretty much, yeah, anything Studio Ghibli. But I don't know if that counts like anime per se.
I think it does, because it's
I think
anime
it does,
movies.
yeah.
So.
Right.
I'm kind of out of my element here. I don't think I've ever seen an anime movie, to be honest. I just don't even know where to start. Like, I don't know. It's such a different world, so I don't even know where to get into it.
Start with Studio Ghibli.
Yeah.
There's
Studio
something
Ghibli?
in them for everyone. Yeah, they have a diverse palette, in my opinion.
It was a very good recommendation. I watched like a completely random movie from them, and it's like one of my favorite movies, animated movies I've ever seen. So
They're all
really,
on Disney
literally,
Plus, right?
What?
They're all on Disney Plus, right?
No.
If they are, that's news to me. I don't know if they struck a deal.
Hold on, I gotta check that. I did not think that was a thing, but I will.
I know they're somewhere. I thought I saw them somewhere.
I'll check you on that right now. They might be on HBO Max. If that's
I think that's where it is.
Okay, it's probably HBO Max. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, if they are, then I have HBO Max. I got grandfathered in. I haven't really been on it much. I don't know. Nothing's really
I have
bringing
no
me there yet.
desire to check
Yeah,
out.
I don't watch it much either.
I have no desire to watch a lot of original stuff on HBO Max, mostly because nothing looks good. I'll just stick with like the regular HBO stuff. Speaking of which, watch Lovecraft Country coming out a week from this past Sunday.
I'm excited for that. I've heard some early
Me
reviews.
too.
People say it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Good cast too that it has.
Yeah. Certain Vince says favorite animated movie of all time. Mine's The Lion King. What about y'all?
Toy Story. No question.
Story?
That movie has
That's a good one.
That movie has a special place in my heart. I'll admit the sequels are both better movies. And as far as my favorite Pixar movie goes, a certain sequel of that may have actually surpassed it that we did on a watch along. But as far as his favorite, it's Toy Story. Like, just nothing to me is ever going to hit the feelings of watching that. It was like between that, Lion King, and Tarzan, that the movies that I just watched over and over and over again when I was a kid. And I watched that movie a lot. Original VHS tape. Oh man, that movie holds a special place in my heart. It's in my top 10 favorite movies of all time.
Nice. For me, it's Zootopia.
Really?
Love
Chris
that
loves
movie.
that movie. That's like the one Disney movie from the past decade that he actually liked. So
I've never heard anybody say that.
That movie's
that
great.
movie is so smart. It kills me in the best way.
Dude, that's the best Disney animated movie that I saw of this past decade. Granted, I didn't watch Tangled, but I heard that was great too.
Wow, that's a good pick. Yeah. Like I said, I've never heard anybody say that was their favorite, but that's a good one. Yeah, I need to go back and rewatch that because I definitely remember what you said. It's very, very smart. Are they making a sequel to that one?
I don't know. That's a Dom thing.
Not is what I'm gonna say, because of all the sequels that I've seen so far for movies, I've heard Ralph Breaks the Internet and I watched Frozen 2, and Frozen 2 was but yeah.
See, I like Frozen 2 better than Frozen, but I don't like either of them.
Frozen to me, here's the thing about Frozen. I actually have a really weird opinion on Frozen. Frozen to me is Disney's most underrated, overrated movie because it blew up so fast and that in a way that nobody was expecting them to. That when I go back and rewatch it, it's almost like you're trying to convince yourself, okay, this can't be as good as I actually remember. But I rewatched it and I still really like it. I like it more than I like it more than Big Hero 6. I like it more. It's on par with Moana for me. I really
Wow.
like Frozen. To me, the only ones that are better than those two are Wreck-It Ralph and Zootopia.
See, I really like Coco. I don't know if you guys like
Coco's
Coco.
Pixar, but I am
Oh
not.
yeah, it
the
is. That's right.
Coco's Pixar, but that feels like a Disney movie to me. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Speaking of which, before we move on, can I do my top 10 favorite Disney movies? I'm sorry, I don't know
Sure,
why.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Out of my ass, but yeah, I don't know because I don't know when I'm gonna do a list on this.
Huh,
So
I wonder why we're so backed up on comments. Huh? I wonder why.
you don't want me to do it, I won't do it. It's fine.
No, I'm playing.
Oh,
Just do it. That's
man.
fine.
Number 10, Fox and the Hound. Number 9, Oliver and Company. Number 8, Pinocchio. Number 7, Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Number 6, Zootopia. Number 5, Bambi. Number 4, Hercules. Number 3, Aladdin. Number 2, Tarzan. Number 1, Lion King.
That's a great list.
Thank you.
There's a lot of slept-on ones on that.
Lot of
Especially like
slept-on ones.
Atlantis.
A lot of slept. Atlantis is
was cool.
amazing.
Atlantis is cool.
Atlantis is great. Oliver and Company are great. Pinocchio and Bambi, those are like the two originals from the 40s that still like really hold up. Like
So
really,
good.
really hold up. Like
I've
it's
never seen
almost-
Hercules.
Dude, what?
Really?
What?
Yeah, I've
Ooh,
never seen
watch
Hercules.
that.
Great. Hercules is actually great. I'm a weird fan of like, more of a fan of like the later 90s than the early 90s because that was like when I was actually around, which is weird because like I didn't watch Mulan for years, but like I love Tarzan. I love Hercules. Pocahontas, I know had a soft spot for a while, but then I watched a Goofy movie and I'm like, okay, there's nothing better than the Goofy movie from 95, except for Toy Story. But
Oh,
Toy
I love
Story's
the
a-
Goofy movie.
I like the early 90s animated movies. They feel very still kind of 80s in my
Yes.
opinion, and I like that.
No,
Yeah.
Colin, I'm not. I see
Yeah.
your comment. I've never touched this stuff.
I'm so curious because you've gone down pretty far, and I'm still like all the way back here at 8 minutes and 59, or yeah, 8:59 o'clock. That's the time I'm at right now in comments. Like I'm so backed
I
up.
love that
The
comment.
problem is that like they just keep going up is the problem. Like super fast. And I'm seeing like all down. Oh, Luke just commented Frozen on par with Moana. Dom, what are you on? You heard me. You heard
Jaren,
me.
if you want us to speed it up, though, we can control our
Yeah, yeah.
tangents. So
Okay,
you just
let's
let
go.
us know, man.
Agoso Sula says hello. Are you guys fans of Roger Ebert? Who are some of your favorite critics?
Yes. As far as professional critics, him obviously, but he's dead now. Rest in peace. One of the greatest film critics of all time. Leonard Maltin, and then Alan Sepinwall and Matt Zoller Seitz are both great too, as far as professional critics go.
Yeah, I can't say I'm a fan of critics, but I certainly love a lot of commentators. So
That's what I'd have to say too. I can't really pick out any critics that I'm like a huge fan of. Ronald E. Smith says, "What are y'all's top 5 favorite rap artists?"
I don't know if I've listened to enough different rap artists in order to be able to actually comment on that without sounding like a generic white guy. So
I can do this. I think. Kendrick Lamar's up there. These aren't in any specific order.
Okay.
Mac Miller's up there. Chance the Rapper's up there. Jay-Z's up there, and Kanye West is up there.
all right.
With honorable mention being Eminem.
I'm gonna courteously agree with all of your choices.
I would say my top 5 has got to be Chance the Rapper, Jay-Z, Kanye West, Eminem, and J. Cole.
All I'm gonna
Okay,
say
I
is
can
that
see
any
J.
song
Cole.
that I listen to has to be in a movie, and that's about all that goes.
Oh,
for
I
me as
also
far
like
as-
Logic. I don't know if you guys listen to much Logic, but
I like his skits on the albums, but I just can't get into it, man.
have you listened to his newest album?
I have not, so
It's actually pretty good. It's probably my favorite album he's put out.
I'll give it a shot. I work, a pretty long job, so every
Yeah.
day.
Let's
headphones in.
see. Favorite recurring That 70s Show character? I like Pastor Dave. That's a good pick.
I mean, does Leo count? Because he was recurring for the first bit before they made him a main character.
I guess so.
No, Leo. Who's the girl? The kind of the. Oh man, I gotta look up that 70s show. It's been so long since I've seen that show, but there was a lot of like good characters.
I kind of like Pastor Dave, to be honest.
Pastor Dave's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think her dad counts, Bob, but he was pretty funny.
Bob is main cast.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go Leo only because I can't remember any other smaller characters.
Yeah, I'll go with Leo too because I really can't remember, dude. I have to rewatch that show, but there's so much I have to watch that I haven't seen that I gotta put my like comfort binges aside for now.
I'd say Leo or Pastor Dave as well. AJ Reacts 2 says, "What's going on, fellows? What's up, man?
Okay,
Good to
have
see you
you
in
back.
here." Let's see. I'm skipping over it because I know a lot of people are having like a conversation here. That's part of it.
That happens a lot.
Ooh, what's an overrated TV show? The Office for
Colin,
me. That's a good
You
one.
have no idea how happy you just made me. You have
I-
no idea how
Hard
happy you just
disagree.
made me.
I don't
But,
like The Office.
It took me a while to get on board with the humor, but I'll admit that even though I understand the humor, it's still not one of my favorite shows. That being said, for me, Friends, no question. Friends is like one of the most overrated shows I've ever seen. I don't think it's that funny. The characters get really irritating and kind of turn into one-note caricatures after a while. I understand that it was a very zeitgeist show, but yeah, for me, Friends, no question. There's a lot of other TV shows I could list off, but that's just the first one that came to mind for me.
Friends was my favorite for the longest time. It's my second favorite show of all time now.
Nice. Friends is in my top 10 favorite shows of all time. I hard disagree with both Dom and Colin, and I would say, Parks and Rec is a very overrated, very terrible show if you think about it.
Parks and Rec is better than The Office.
No
I have a
chance.
Here's
no chance.
Jared, real quick, did you watch Parks and Rec or The Office first?
I watched The Office first.
Really? That's interesting. Yeah,
that is interesting to hear.
Yeah, because I'm kind of the outlier to the rule, because everything that I've heard is that like whoever watches whatever show in question, that being Parks and Rec or The Office first, likes it more. But me, I watched The Office first, but I could never really get into it until years later. Parks and Rec, I watched that first. I was immediately into it. So,
yeah. I'm trying to think of another overrated. What did I say? Yeah, The Office is probably the one I'd go with as well. Yeah. Let's see. AJ Reacts 2 says, Dom, I love your take on La La Land. I don't.
Who knows the truth?
I'll have to watch the
That's
movie
your truth. I'll keep my truth.
Yeah.
You can have your truth.
The truth is what it is. As I keep telling Chris, my job is to not to disagree with people on why they're wrong, but to tell them why they're wrong.
I respect your wrong opinion. Yeah. Colin says, Dom and Chris, how did you guys meet?
Oh, yes, finally, an excuse to tell this story. Chris, do you want to do this or me?
No, you're good at doing this. So.
All right, so it was a regular afternoon at Dutchess Community College in beautiful Hudson Valley. No, I'm just kidding. No, I walked into class one day. I don't even remember what class. It was a class with a very famous, well-known professor around our campus for not at all the right reasons, being Dana Wideman.
I was going to say, don't dox her.
No, I'm not doxing her. I'm just saying that like she's
no, I'm just kidding. I'm just
herself. And what's it called? So we met in this class. I don't even remember what it was. I think we got split up into our first ever. I think this was like the groups that we got paired up into.
Yeah, we were in film school, so they broke you up in like if the class was 20, they'd break you up into groups of 5 to make like a mini production or whatever it was. So yeah, we had 4 in our group, obviously, and obviously to me and Dom, no one else knew that, and we just happened to get paired together.
We got paired together. And I started talking about movies. Chris listened. He seemed to really enjoy what I was saying, and from there. We worked on the film throughout it. It went how it went.
Because I had went back to film school kind of like in a post like, all right, man, I had like a big like record contract fail, and I was like, I don't want to just sit around and like lament in that. Like I want to try and do something productive and get like some positivity in my life. So there was a creative degree. Oh, I got to go check that out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the rest was history, really. So became good friends from there. We just
became good friends. We started a first podcast, the Movie Nerd Podcast, that we put 6 episodes out of. That's still on my original YouTube channel, Movie Nerd Reviews. If anyone wants to listen to some early days of Dom and Chris, then I went away to school for 2 years, way up north in Oswego. Then I was there for 2 years. I came back. I still kept in touch with Chris throughout. I saw him whenever I came back. And then when I got back last year, Chris was like, hey, remember that podcast that we started up? Want to do it again? I'm like, sure. And here we are.
I missed it.
Yeah, me too. I missed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's a pretty great origin
story. Let's see. Also, Dom and Chris, movie recommendation for you guys. Watch Election. I talked to death about the movie, and it's a fantastic satirical comedy.
Yeah, great.
Have you guys seen it?
Great movie. Fantastic. It's funny. Everyone thinks this is Alexander Payne's directorial debut. It's not. His directorial debut is Citizen Ruth, which came out a few years before. It stars Matthew Broderick and Reese Witherspoon. It's a very, I'm not going to say anything about it, but it's one of those movies that it's like, you got to watch it in order to see it.
Okay. Tom, I've actually never heard of that, so I'm going to text you later tonight, and can you just remind me about that?
Yeah, Alexander Payne, very underrated director. He did About Schmidt with Jack Nicholson, Sideways, The Descendants with George Clooney, Nebraska, very good movie. And then his most recent movie was a really strange movie that I saw called Downsizing, which that's the one where Matt Damon got shrunk. Remember that one?
I heard of it, but I didn't see it. But
it's not good.
Well, I'll check it out, Colin. So thank you.
It's easily that guy's weakest movie, but
yeah, Colin told me to watch Election, and so I did. I thought it was like really good, not great, but the more I thought about it, the more I just started to like love it more and more. It's one that I've been craving to go back and rewatch. A lot of it is that it has a ton of visual humor, not just the jokes that they say and stuff like that. Like you look around and there's things that they'll foreshadow earlier on in the film, and it comes back around to it later on, or just like seeing stuff visually in the background. I don't know. It does a lot of things.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, that movie gave us the legend himself, Chris Klein.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
I was about to say, I'm assuming you're blank.
All right, I'll definitely check this out. So
the Chris Klein thing became a little bit of an internet joke, like an inside joke amongst one of my groups of friends. And he also, just the fact of his ridiculous performance in Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li, and also the fact that he was the villain on this past season of The Flash.
Oh, really?
A lot of good stuff involving Chris Klein that we don't need to get into now, but
Let's see. Dimension Scott says, for the guest thoughts on Rosario Vampire anime series. I don't even know what that is.
yeah, I'm not really gonna watch that. It's just like it's in that overly sexualized area of anime that I just, some of them I watched High School of the Dead, which was a good story, but like those parts of it just don't really translate well to me as like an audience member. So I don't really watch too many of those. I'm like, my favorite anime series of all time is Your Lie in April, which is so much more conservative compared to that. It's like this character drama about this young couple who one of them befalls a very bad illness and they have to like overcome it, and there's so much more to it, so that's not a spoiler. That's all like the first episode. So I'm on the opposite side of my anime spectrum to Rosario Vampire, but is it good? I don't know. I might check it out. Let me know.
what was the first one that you said? Something school?
High School of the Dead.
High School of the Dead. All right.
Yeah,
That
it's like
sounds
a zombie
interesting.
survival thing. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Let's see. Luke Review says, Frozen on par with Moana. He says,
Yeah,
Dom, what are you
yeah.
on? I'm just now catching up to that.
Yeah, controversial opinion.
Colin says, Dom is on cocaine, I think.
There it is. There it is. Yeah, I've got that so many times online. I'm like, guys, I promise you, I'm putting it here right now, making it official. I have never touched it. I will never touch it. Just imagine anybody who's ever interacted with me in any way. Imagine me.
I'd be scared.
I was going to say, I don't think you need to touch it.
No, I really,
no.
really don't.
Let's see.
Oh,
Some people
man.
say, I think Frozen is actually better than Moana. That's a hot take. I would have to disagree.
They're right neck and neck to me. I love both of those movies.
Yeah.
Favorite sports movie. Brandon Carroll, what's up, man? He's a new subscriber on my channel. Thanks for joining the live stream. Favorite sports movie. I'm actually going to be doing a video on this, but what are y'all's picks?
Gridiron Gang, dude.
Gridiron
That
Gang.
movie
That's a great one.
Awesome.
Underrated movie.
That
That's
movie
back
is-
when Rock was actually doing real performances. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's all I'm
indeed.
gonna say. That movie is awesome.
It's funny because like I usually go with boxing because those are easy choices for sports movies. But yeah, it's three. It's Rocky, Raging Bull, and The Fighter. Easily.
I'm glad you
Nice
like
classics.
the Raging Bull. People need to watch that movie. I
Great.
feel like it's still so underrated.
Such
It's
a
definitely my
movie,
top
man.
10.
Everybody thinks of Taxi Driver or Goodfellas when they think of Scorsese, and I'm like, dude, Raging Bull, and it has a very strong argument in being like his magnum opus as far as
Oh,
as
for
far-
sure. Yeah.
It really does.
Hot take. I actually like the Creed movies better than Rocky.
I like Creed. Creed 2 is okay. It's funny. Creed to me is the only movie so far in this new series that's on the level of like Rocky and Rocky 2. I have like a very specific echelon. I have Rocky, Rocky 2, and Creed in like the A class, and then right below it is like all the rest. They're kind of like all interchangeable. I actually like Rocky Balboa a little bit more than some of the other. I think that one's very underrated.
Oh, I think that movie's great. Way better than Rocky 5. I hate Rocky 5.
Rocky 5 to me, I think it's a bit of a bad rap, but to me, like 3, 4, 5. And Creed 2, they all have good moments, but they're all just like, they're kind of interchangeable.
I can see that. What shows have you binged during quarantine? I binged Bob's Burgers, Saved by the Bell, That 70s Show, and a regular show.
Lost, The Wire, finished BoJack, Succession. Actually, that might have been before quarantine, but I'll cheat for this one. Rebinged Avatar, rebinged Community. And I think that's it. I'll say that's it for now.
Yeah, for me, Kim's Convenience, which is an amazing Netflix original. Just go check it out. It's one of my
I've never
favorite
heard
shows.
of it.
Yeah, it's very niche. It's very low key. It's awesome. Afterlife, I rebinged. Kind of rebinged. Rewatched it for the first time intensely. Avatar: The Last Airbender, incredible show. I rewatched a show called Flaked, which is one of those Netflix shows that got canceled after 2 seasons. And more recently, I just finished a Leftovers rewatch, and that was pretty cool. So
I've never
my
heard of
spare
that
time.
show
It
either.
took me like 4 months to finish it.
That
I
was
started
David
it.
Lindelof show that he did right before Watchmen that he did for 3 years on HBO. It was with oh my god, what's it? Justin Theroux, Carrie Coon, and a couple of other people. It was only 3 seasons.
Justin Theroux, is that the one that Jennifer Aniston used to be married to?
Yes.
Ah, okay. For me, shows that I've only binged two because I've watched way more movies than TV shows. I've binged That 70 Show a couple times, and I binged Community a couple times. Those are the only two shows. I absolutely love Community, by the way. I don't know, I had never heard of it before this
Dude,
year, but I was blown away.
Wait a minute, hold on. Because this actually marks the first big occasion. Because every other person that I've brought this up to has been Office over Community, no question. So are you in my corner? Community better than The Office?
100%.
Jan, would you want to be on a debate that we're planning, but with a bunch of YouTubers, an Office versus Community debate?
Oh, maybe.
We're meeting up to
feel
plan
like
it in
I'm
person
so
on
new
Thursday.
to both shows.
We're not asking. You're in. No question.
I feel like I'd be terrible.
Side for this. You're in.
All right, team debate. It's a team debate, you know?
Okay, because I watched both of these shows for the first time this year. So, I mean, I've watched Community twice, but I've only seen The Office through once. So I feel like
fine.
You just became like my favorite person that we've like had as a guest star on. You
Tom loves Community.
Community is so good.
Sorry, David. This guy's my new favorite.
Oh, earlier when we were talking about our favorite rap artist, Donald Glover is definitely up there.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was such a great actor, but he's so amazing. He's probably, I don't know, he's probably like top 2 or 3 characters in the show, to be honest. I really like his character.
He's my favorite. He's my favorite.
Really?
It's between him, Abed, and Pierce. Yes, I have a little bit of a soft spot for Pierce. I'll be the person to say that.
Hey man, he's a legend. He's a legend.
Hilarious.
That's
He has
true.
one of my favorite lines of the whole show. It's ridiculous.
He's very funny. I need to go back and rewatch the show again. Like I said, I've seen it twice now, but I'm craving to go back and rewatch it again.
Wow,
It's just
you're
so
into
unique.
it.
Any
It's so
episode
unique.
ever I want. It's so good. There's nothing like it.
You know what it is? It's a film lovers TV show.
Yeah, especially with a character like Abed.
Yes.
Who, like, literally every episode he references something. And like the birth of the Russo brothers, those paintball episodes,
Yes.
so well done. So well done. I
Yep.
love the show.
Dude.
My gosh.
Oh,
He's speaking
get
your
it.
language, huh,
Oh,
Tom?
man. Somebody finally gets it. Somebody
Is that your-
finally gets it. I've
is
been
that your
saying
favorite
this about
show?
the Russos for like since it came back on Netflix.
Yeah. Is that your favorite show of all time?
No, it's up there. It's my favorite sitcom of all time, no question. To me, it's the only actual sitcom that like actually tries to step outside the typical sitcom barriers that have kept a lot of sitcoms back.
It's just so offbeat. Yeah, it's completely different than most of the stuff in the genre.
Dude, what you got to do is you got to go back and rewatch it just for the background jokes. The background jokes are a story in and of themselves. This is one whole dude. There's a running joke with Beetlejuice where they randomly say Beetlejuice at some point, and then in the 3rd season, Annie says it, and it's for the 3rd time, and then there's a guy dressed as Beetlejuice who just walks by in the background. It's amazing.
Really?
It's amazing.
That's so cool.
Oh,
Yeah, I
so
definitely need to go rewatch it again. That got me excited. I think I'll probably just start watching it after the
Chris,
stream.
we got one. We got one.
Cool.
We just
That's
need one
cool.
more. Make it a 3-on-3. We just need one more.
Parks and Rec, I saw after The Office, and I like Parks and Rec so much more. The setting and characters are so much better. I would agree. I would have to agree.
You've got me on your side for this one. You're back. You're back here. Your Guardians 2 comment put me off a little
Colin,
bit.
I know Chris disagrees.
I think you're a little wrong, Colin, but you know what? This is the first thing you've said that I disagree with, so you have a good streak going, and it's okay to disagree. You know, people
That's surprising.
can disagree.
He's like one of the most controversial on the platform, to be honest. That's funny that that's the first thing you disagree with.
I usually
you heard
like
it?
his takes.
Have you heard his take on Mad Max, which is also mine, that Fury Road is extremely overrated?
I
I'm
agree
just not familiar with the Mad Max franchise, so that
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
with that. But here's the thing: is that I've actually got a weird opinion on Mad Max that, in a weird way, also connects to Alien, which is that every movie is the same.
That's very true. Yeah. I don't
Think
know.
about
Just for me, I
Every
like Road
Alien
Warrior way
movie-
better.
Every Mad Max movie, with the okay, I'll say this: the really only exception is the first one. The first Mad Max is actually different because that one still takes place like when
For sure.
it's right on the brink of society collapsing. You know, and it actually does
Yeah.
show his origins. Interesting. But every movie starting with the Road Warrior, like, yeah, the effects get bigger and better, and it helps that there was like a 30-year gap between Thunderdome and Fury Road, but they're all the same.
That's a good point for sure. I don't know. Just some of them work more than that one for me, even though they are the same. I don't know.
It's beautifully filmed.
It is from a technical aspect. It's almost perfect, but I don't know. Yeah, I've just never liked it. Thoughts on Drake and Josh TV show? Love it.
love it.
Haven't watched it in forever, so I wouldn't be able to comment on it.
It still holds up. It's something that
Mhm.
as you age, it actually gets better.
Its age is like a fine wine, is what you'd say.
It's
It
so
does.
weird. It's oh my gosh.
Dude, let me tell you a cool little tidbit about Drake and Josh. There's one episode where I think Drake is like getting married, and the priest is a guest star who's a local legend. Every summer, not this summer because COVID ruined a family tradition, but I go across the river to the Shakespeare Festival, and he usually plays the comedic lead in the Shakespeare Festival. And we're not too far from New York City, so we have some top-notch people at that festival. And I remember going to see that guy, and I was like, "Yo, I saw him on Drake and Josh."
Really?
Cool. It was
That's cool.
Yeah.
Dude, freaking! What about the time when we were just sitting down chilling in the noodle place, and the people next to us were just like random Broadway producers?
Right. Yeah. Our area has a lot of those people that moved up.
That was actually crazy.
Really?
They work in the city. They live up here on the weekends. Yeah. So I love Drake and Josh, man. It's got a special place in my heart.
There's a couple celebrities that actually live by here. Like Liam Neeson's got a house up here. Ben Affleck's got a house up here in Millbrook. Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Paul Rudd own a candy store in Rhinebeck, which is like an hour north of here.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool area. Yeah.
Drake and Josh also.
They shot all of I Know This Much Is True, the HBO series with Mark Ruffalo here in this area.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that show that just came out? I think I saw that. That's where he plays twins, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that one.
I don't know if I loved it, but I kind of dug it in some ways. It was
did you see
different.
A Quiet Place?
That show, like that's all like stuff that we like drive past on like a daily basis.
Yeah.
Did
A
I
Quiet
see
Place was shot 10 minutes from my house.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. In the farmland.
Is it Quiet Place 2 as well?
Wait a minute.
I
same
don't
location.
know.
It's New Paltz? It was like half an hour from New Paltz and Saugerties.
No. Some of the shots were in Pauling.
Oh, some of the. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Which ones?
I think I don't remember, but
You're right.
you can look it up. So
shot Pauling.
yeah, exactly.
That's
But,
really cool.
Yeah, man.
Luke Review says iCarly's better. Now I like iCarly. I wouldn't say it's better though.
iCarly kind of went the victorious route though, where it kind of started off good because it was still Nickelodeon's good days, and then it went downhill when all the live action Nickelodeon stuff started.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I totally agree.
That was when I was like getting to that point in high school where I started to realize, yeah, this is not good.
Yeah. Best place you guys have visited? Myself or Hawaii for myself. Yeah, I've never been to Hawaii.
That's tricky because I have different criteria as far as different places that I visited. Favorite place that I would visit that I would definitely like to go back to, and just because it's like the easiest place, like London, because there's just there's no place quite like it. But probably the most beautiful place that I've ever visited is a toss up between Ireland and Sicily. But they've each got like, their own different place, like as far as where I've been to. You know, like they each have they have a different charm about them, and they have a different reason for why you would want to go there. You know,
You've been to a lot of places.
Yeah, I'll say this much though: France, went there once, very pretty, very beautiful. No desire to go back. Very weird. Spain too, but I have family and I have close friends in Spain, so.
Yeah, for me, my favorite city I've been to in our country is Seattle. I hope to go back one day, and unfortunately, like a lot of the places that we would go were in like the part where the Chaz is. So I hope the next time I'm back there, they're able to recover because it was a really cool little area. But so that makes me a little sad, and so does this whole question in general. But the most beautiful place, I guess, to take Dom's route that I've ever been was Bermuda. Partially for the great family memories, and also just it's an island, man. It's a tropical place.
Mine would also be a tropical place, the Bahamas. But I haven't been to a lot of places. Like I think all in all, I've been to like 7 states, and I think I've been to Mexico and the Bahamas, and that's it.
You've been to Mexico?
What?
That's a pretty big if. You just said
okay. It's because
that's a pretty big if right there. Like, did you fly through it? Like, were
I
you
have been to Mexico. That's right. Because I
went
on 2 cruises. One was to the Bahamas. One was to Mexico. I was trying to think if that was the place I went on the second one. It was because I remember it wasn't as nice as the Bahamas.
Okay.
So I just kind of forgot that location. I remember the first one I went on, but yeah, I think the nicest state I've been to is probably Virginia.
Of all the states that I've been to, which is not as many, it's Florida, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. A lot of skiing I did. Vaguely remember visited like Boston and Philadelphia for a day, but not enough to really remember them. I still love New York State the best.
I've been to Philadelphia too. I got to run up those stairs, which are not as intimidating as they look in the movie, I will say.
Did you lick the Liberty Bell?
Yeah, I did actually.
Oh, nice. Chris, come on. You got that reference.
No, yeah, of course.
Okay. You didn't react, so I was worried. I'm like, oh no. Dude,
it's been a long day, man.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, we're probably gonna end it here, probably in the next 7 minutes. I'm gonna get through these last questions.
So much fun though. No, I'm just kidding. I get it.
Adrian Yaxu says, I'm an Office stan. I love Parks and Rec as well, but The Office takes the cake.
AJ, my dude.
Good for you, man.
Another one.
Colin says, Chris, DM me when you watch Election. It's on Amazon Prime. I think it's my favorite written script of all time.
Cool. We'll do.
Let's see. Who is better, Big Daddy, Billy Madison, The Water Boy, or Happy Gilmore?
Happy Gilmore, hands down. It's the only one I like. So
Oh wait, are you talking character or movie?
I'm going by character.
Movie.
So.
Oh, character, really?
Oh, I was going by character, but we can also same applies for movie with me. It's the only one I like that I've seen. I haven't seen Big Daddy, but I've seen the other three, and Happy Gilmore is the only one I've liked. So
Big Daddy, he's the most mature, and he's the only one that actually gets better as time goes on. I think my favorite movie out of those is Billy Madison, though. I really enjoyed Billy Madison, mostly because again, one of my favorite actors, Bradley Whitford, is the villain. Also, fun fact: the mansion in that movie is the same mansion they used for the X-Men movies.
Really?
True story.
Big Daddy is actually my favorite of the bunch. It was my favorite Adam Sandler movie for a while until I saw Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
I like it because it's very mature. Like, it deals on some real subjects while also being funny. It has that good heart to it. Second place for me would have to be Happy Gilmore, though. I really like that one. But I like all these. This is still when his comedies were like really fresh.
Yeah, comedies, in the 90s. Heyday.
Yeah, I've never been the biggest Adam Sandler guy, so.
Until you watched Punch Drunk Love and Uncut Gems.
Right.
Punch Drunk Love is good too.
Punch Drunk Love is amazing.
Let's see.
He's done so much. I obviously like some of it, but I was never like a stan. Is that what the kids say?
Don't
Did I just
Yes, Stan.
These comedians, they make you think, they fool you by doing these dumb comedies after dumb comedies, but then they churn out like a 1 hour photo or an Eternal Sunshine, and you realize, oh wait, these guys got range.
Right.
They do it to throw you off, catch you off guard.
What was that Will Ferrell movie where he's just sitting on his front lawn?
Oh my god, I know which
the whole
movie.
Time? That movie is brilliant.
All Things Must End, or something.
Yeah, All Things Must Go. All Things Must Go.
That's the one.
That is such a good. I love when like comedic actors do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like what I think Steve Carell is trying to do, but not doing as good as I would have wanted him to be doing lately.
He's tried, and he's had a few. It's just they very much hinge.
Foxcatcher, right? That's what it was called.
Yeah,
that was cool. Didn't quite
that
stick.
was very much like very showy, Oscar baity.
Yeah,
to me, the two that I always go to for stat as far as Steve Carell is concerned are Little Miss Sunshine and Last Flag Flying. No question. Those two are actually showed. I'm like, okay, this guy's actually capable of like being down to earth.
I would say
all comedians are depressed.
Absolutely. But that's just
I don't quite think so. I think that was an old thing. I think if you look at some of the new guard, like the Joe Rogans of the world, I mean, they've surely been through a lot, but like the Joey Diaz's and stuff, I think they were depressed at one point in time, but I think like they've learned to appreciate the struggle. I think that's what being a comedian is about, listening to like these podcasts that they all have. It's like learning to appreciate the struggle. So I think it's like maybe they were depressed, but I think that they overcome it if they were.
Right. I also think the depression is inherent to
Didn't quite answer the question, but
no, it's fine.
I just think it's weird that every time they go into like a dramatic role, it's normally got a lot of depressing undertones to it. Even if you look at like Robin Williams, World's Best Dad. Have you seen that movie? It's so depressing.
Yeah. That movie's really messed up. Also, like, just look at how self-deprecating Adam Sandler was in Funny People. Like, that's one of the most self-deprecating movies ever done. And that was Apatow doing it too. So
it's just weird how, I don't know, it kind of always correlates to that.
Jaren, more recently, Pete Davidson in King of Staten Island. You should check that out.
That one really shocked me. That one's not like a typical schlocky funny man movie. Like, that movie's got a lot of really depressing, like actually surprisingly serious undertones.
Which a lot of it is like realistic to his life story, right?
Yes, it's completely based on his life story, pretty much.
I've heard he's had a lot of messed up things happen in his life. I actually really like Pete Davidson.
Yeah,
he's definitely had to deal with a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Colin says, what kind of guy were you in high school? Athlete, low-key, popular, theater geek, or band player?
I was 3 of those. I was low-key, I was an athlete, and I was technically orchestra, not band, because I did violin and then stand-up bass and then electric bass for jazz band. But I swam in high school, and other than that, I mostly just kept to myself. I talked to whoever would talk to me about movies, and that was about it. I was in honors classes, didn't really do much otherwise.
Yeah, so for me, I had like 2 versions of myself. The in school Monday through Friday Chris, who was like the athlete, kind of the floater kid, who like had friends in every sort of group. Was sort of just like like not like Mr. Popular by any means, but like I had a lot of friends, and I like to think I had a good time with a lot of different people. But on the weekends, I grew up at the Chance Theater in Poughkeepsie, playing shows, going to shows, just like really like fine tuning my musical craft, networking with people. So that's when I look back now, almost 10 years. Thanks, Colin. I think of myself more as the weekend Chris in that time, because when I wasn't in school Monday through Friday, it was always music. So
Yeah, for me, college is definitely where I learned to find myself a little bit more. High school, I was kind of just like, hey, did you see that movie that no one's ever heard of?
Yeah, I guess like there's kind of two versions of me too, because in school, I guess I'm kind of like the low key popular person, meaning like I kind of like am not always like the standout, but I'm kind of one of who's like friends with all the crowds. I've never been one to like
Good though.
cast
That's really
anybody
good.
out. I get in with all the groups, but then outside of it, I have this huge love for movies and YouTube, and I don't want to tell anybody at school that or anybody that I know
It's
because
cool,
every
isn't
time
it?
I've been like, oh, people think it's so weird still, which I think is so crazy because people like certain creators on YouTube. They
That's
subscribe to people, but
so
they
are you
make
saying
fun
your
of
friends
people they
don't
know.
know that you're a YouTuber, or you're just kind of shy about telling them? Like, what do you mean by
Most
that
of them
exactly?
don't. Like, some of them find out, and then, like, it's kind of a weird thing when I have to explain it to them. But, like, everybody I've ever told, they're very, like they kinda laugh about it. They kinda think it's very, very weird, so I just stopped talking about it, to be honest.
Yeah,
Hmm.
dude, I
Seems
mean,
like when you make it, you have a good story, man.
yeah, definitely. It's
Yeah.
that's like a catch-22 because at the same time, it's like, okay, yeah, you may not be comfortable to talk about it, but at the same time, you're like, ooh, it's kind of like this secret superhero hobby, that I
And hey,
have.
Jaren,
Yeah,
let
that's
me just tell you, being 26, still wanting to pursue a career in entertainment, and now multiple forms, podcasting, YouTube, and the music, people get even more harsh about that. Like, dude, are you really still trying to do these things? Like, for real? Like,
yeah.
it gets even harder, man.
People
things
call me
that
weird because they're like, "You wanna grow, but you don't wanna tell people you know about it." I'm like, "No, everybody else that I don't know, you can know about it, that's cool, but people that
Yeah,
are close to me, no."
yeah.
It's
It's
so
funny.
weird, I don't know.
I was always that one guy where like I was kind of it was a weird because I was the one guy where it's like when I started doing it, they were like, "Oh, cool, you'd be really good at that," and I was like, "Really? Why?" And I just started doing it. I just kept doing it. Like I'm
We
Yeah.
all know, man.
gonna be
You just got
20.
to focus on yourself, and right, Dom, you just got to stay true to yourself, man, and don't worry about what people say.
Be
Exactly.
23 in a week.
Yeah.
I've been doing this since I was 19. I guess. I mean, relative to you, Jaren, obviously, I guess I'm kind of like an older guy as far as this goes. I've been doing this
We have
stuff.
a nice mix, I think.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
doing this since 19, since 2016, and technically just started unofficially doing it even before that in high school. And yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just getting warmed up.
Do you
That's
play any
awesome.
sports though, Jaren? Or yeah, me
I
too, though, Dom.
I play basketball, I'm more into music, though, to be honest. If it's stuff like that, I was more into music and stuff, I
Play
still
anything?
am. I play the drums, guitar, the trumpet, a
Nice.
little bit of piano, I
Nice.
sing as well, yeah,
Cool. Do you
music,
write
for the
songs?
longest time
Dude, talking TV
sometimes.
karaoke hours?
No.
Oh, come
Please, no.
on.
Feel
Oh,
free
come
to send me any
on.
songs you write, man. I write songs all the time. I would love to meet people who write songs. So if you ever write anything, send it my way. I'm
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 so
always down to hear
scared
it.
to show people what I do.
Nah,
I'm
don't do
so
that.
scared.
Don't do that. Don't
You're
get stuck
good
in
at
that
it, man.
trap, dude. Learn now. You're young. You still got a chance. Get out of that shell now, or else you're gonna be
Yeah,
stuck in
I
it
don't
forever.
have a chance, is what Dom's saying. So Jaren, don't do what I did.
No, not
I
what I
know. I'm
meant.
just kidding,
Don't
Dom.
twist
I'm
my
just
words.
kidding. I was taking the self-deprecating Adam Sandler joke and bringing it back, is all. So
That's a
good
good
question,
transition.
Colin.
Yeah,
Good
Yeah,
really.
for real.
Wow, we went down memory lane there. I
Yeah,
told
Sparked
you.
for
a lot of
real.
We got
conversation.
personal. I told you from the top. Let's get personal.
I love this. Yeah.
Ryan O'Toole says Joker or Bane. For me, it's Joker.
Joke. What? That's not even a question.
No, I
What
can
is
see
that?
the argument. Bane was great, but Joker. I've
Yeah.
just had more
I mean,
exposure
yeah,
with him.
as
And
far as the villain that did the most physical damage to Batman, then yeah, Bane. But like, no, it's Joker. No question.
Favorite moment / joke from School of Rock, aka the best comedy of all time.
I haven't seen it.
I have seen it, but I can't recall like a thing that stuck out to me.
yeah, me neither. You think I'd love it, being a musician and all that, but I always thought it kind of did a disservice to rock and roll, in my opinion. And I grew up listening to all the classic rock stuff.
I can tell you
To
my
me, it just, I don't know, it just
history.
didn't strike a chord with me, no pun intended.
Does that say something bad about the movie when I say I really like it, but I can't think of anything that stood out? It could be because I've only seen it once.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think we're on a live stream and this is rapid fire and it's like hard to think of.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know what I mean?
We're an hour and a half
Oh,
in.
Also, what's up,
You know
Ryan?
that one scene. That one.
Mm-hmm.
I,
With the
I
instrument?
don't even have to say it. You can think about it. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, by the way, Dom, I watched one Community episode and
Whatever.
haven't
I
touched
get
it
it.
since.
You're trolling. Whatever.
Good old Luke.
Love you, Luke.
Colin says The Office versus Parks and Rec would be a better debate to do.
No, it wouldn't though, because
They're kind of on the same level in a
because
lot
they're
of
both
ways.
Michael Schur, and so they've both got too many similarities. Like Office versus Community, that's almost like comparing two different mediums. There, you could like actually have an interesting debate. Documentaries versus like regular traditional film single camera. Like certain type of ensemble, what type of humor you go for. Like there's just a lot of different interesting talking points you go for versus Office and Parks and Rec that almost like kind of limits it.
I could see the debate there, but I definitely think Office versus Community is way more interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
AJ Reacts to says, have you guys watched New Girl? That might be my favorite sitcom. That's a really good show. Have you guys seen it?
One episode, and I wanted to get into it more, but it wasn't my cup of tea. And after how I saw Brooklyn Nine-Nine went, I was like, yeah,
it's one that gets better as you go on, actually.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I always watch the first 4 episodes. I try and I try and I try, but I just can't get into it, unfortunately. No hate, just can't get into it.
That's sad.
Be that type of a show.
What's your guilty pleasure masterpiece?
The Transformers movies by Michael Bay.
Really?
No question. Those movies are all terrible, but they're all masterpieces of bad filmmaking because they're all sort of well made.
I can't get into them at all.
Oh no, you have to be at a very specific age. I'm trying to think. How old were you when that first movie came out? You would have been what, 5 when that first movie came out? 2007.
What year?
2007
Yeah.
was when it came out.
So I was 4 or 5. 4.
Yeah, 4 or 5. I was 10 years old when that movie came out. And I was like, this is the perfect age range for me to hate this.
Right up your alley.
Right up my alley. And those movies suckered me in for the next 8 years. And then I got to the 5th one and I finally said, you know what? It's time to end this. These need to stop.
This is a little weird, but I have like my sort of guilty pleasure comfort food pick. It's the 1990 and live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. And quite honestly, that series, for that matter, they're so just cheesy, no pun intended, with the pizza that is all over the film. But I love it so much, man. I love them.
Those movies are extremely dark too. I went back and rewatched them. There's a lot of stuff there that's like pretty dark. I will say though, the third one, I do not like it at all.
Yeah, that falls off big time.
1 and 2 though are a ton of fun.
Dude, that last shot where the hand of Shredder just rises up at the end. That is so cheesy, but it's so good. You know what I mean?
They're a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Ryan says, most underrated A24 movie.
Ooh, dude, I got a list. I got another list. Don't worry, I won't list them all off, but I got a lot here as far as that goes, as far as A24 goes. Just got to pull
I have mine locked and loaded, so I can just get going while you guys.
Go first. I haven't got a few
for me, it's Under the Silver Lake. I mean,
yes.
Oh, I forgot that. Yes.
I love Andrew Garfield. That performance
That's
is incredible. I've watched that movie probably like 6 times, and it came out literally last year. Like, hands down, a great film that I just think needs more eyeballs on it.
Yeah. For me, The Farewell, even though that got a decent amount of watch, but yeah, that one's great. Climax, 20th Century Women, Spectacular Now, High Life was great. Loved that. Also, there's this one lesser known one that really nobody watches from John Cameron Mitchell, the director of Hedwig and the Angry Inch. It's called How to Talk to Girls at Parties with Elle Fanning. That movie I actually really like.
I have to check that one out. You've been talking about it for a while.
That one's really good. The rest of them are all pretty much standard and well-known, but I actually have a few overrated ones. I think the biggest well-known for me is Hereditary. I think that one's kind of overrated. Lady Bird in 8th grade, even though I both love those movies, they're both, to me, a little overrated. Waves, I think, is incredibly overrated.
I love that movie.
Never Going Back. Green Room is horrifically overrated. That movie I did not get the hype for at all.
It's overrated. I never thought anybody liked that movie. I hated that movie.
I knew a lot of people who were like raving about that movie when it came out, and I'm like, oh. And then to me, the biggest 4 movies, and I'm like, how does anybody like these movies? It Comes at Night, Midsommar, Free Fire, and Killing of a Sacred Deer to me is the absolute worst A24 movie that I've seen.
Okay, you guys might disagree with my picks for underrated, but definitely number 1 for me is Under the Silver Lake. To the fact that I forgot it was an A24 movie.
Yeah,
that's how underrated it is.
That one is A24 didn't know how to market it. That's why it basically went direct to digital.
True. Yeah.
Aaron, I'm so glad you like that film, man.
I will agree with that.
Also, Enemy. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. Jake Gyllenhaal is my favorite actor. So yeah.
Room. The most stuff on here for A24.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, like Enemy, Under the Skin, Lock. What was the other one? Oh, A Most Violent Year. Those are like the 4 big ones from that year.
Yeah. Have you guys seen Room?
No,
I have not seen that one.
That's by far Brie Larson's best performance, which I don't even like her that much, but she did really good in that one.
Last time she was like actually really good before she became overhyped and a meme.
Yeah. And also the last one I'd say is The Lobster. It's very weird, but I really
Never
enjoy
heard
it.
of that.
I give that movie credit because I think that movie got that movie and The Witch were like those are like the indie movies that got like a lot of attention in 2016. Like I very vividly remember those movies getting a lot of attention. And The Lobster, I get what it's going for, and as far as that goes, I enjoy it and I enjoy its take. It's just not one of my personal favorites. I think the only thing that I wrote when I did my Letterboxd review for that, I think the only thing I wrote in it was the things we do for love. That was literally all I wrote.
Would you guys recommend that to me?
Yeah, I would.
Maybe.
I would say just as like a means of like you got to see it in order to like get it, if that makes any sense.
I told my brother to watch it, and he absolutely hated it. So it really just depends on who you are.
I think Chris, as far as subject matter wise, you're very tolerant as far as subject matter wise goes. So for me, it'll really just be like how you enjoy the presentation of the material.
Would you say you need to be open-minded?
Yes, very much so.
I don't think so.
What? Really?
I don't think so. I think as far as like, because the problem is that we've seen how movies with futuristic societies. So as long as like you can understand what it is,
okay.
Yeah, as long as you can understand what it is that they're going for, which I think it's pretty obvious. They make it pretty clear within the first couple of minutes what they're going for. I think you'll be fine.
Okay.
I'll just say I've never seen anything like it.
All I'm going to say is that there's different levels of
definitely check it out.
that I liked The Lobster. The Favorite is my favorite movie of his that he's done, but I hated The Killing of a Sacred Deer. So,
yeah, I didn't like
my grandpa loves that movie.
The Killing of a Sacred Deer?
Yeah, he loves that movie, dude.
That's such a random choice for him.
I know. It's like one of his favorite modern films.
It's really funny.
What's your overrated movie from last year? Mine is Knives Out. Man, I love Knives Out.
Overrated. That's
really?
A very good choice for overrated because I think that movie's very overrated. It's fine. It's obviously better than The Last Jedi because a lot of things are better than The Last Jedi. But like, as far as when that movie came out, like, it's funny, Chris, because remember how you and me and Pat were talking about that movie and we were all like, oh, we can't tell if this one thing in this movie without spoiling it is either great or really stupid. And I've come to the opinion that it's somewhere in between, but leaning towards stupid because, again, it spoils its entire plot within the first act and the rest of it is just kind of like trying to overcompensate for that.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I have mine, and it's not Knives Out. For me, it's The Joker.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Dang.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that movie.
Where would it be on your list? Is it like really low?
Joker is 70 out of 83 for me for
wow.
movies.
I think I saw like 30 something movies last year, closer to 40, and it's like mid-tier. I just thought it was overrated. I didn't think it was bad. You know what I'm saying?
I was not a fan of that movie. The filmmaking was great, but as far it was another example of like, wow, this is a guy who's trying to tackle the subject matter who has no idea how to do it properly.
My overrated for last year was Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Yeah, but that one, I don't know. I've had a very
that's a good one too.
The MCU Spider-Man movies, but that one I was like, yeah. The only reason why anybody needs to watch this is kind of just to like get the epilogue to the MCU. That's why it's in one of those weird spots that the first Ant-Man, where it's like I don't know whether to count this as part of the MCU or not. Like I didn't count it as part of my MCU rewatch when I did it for the ranking for the channel.
Yeah. A lot of people say they absolutely love it. And actually, when I came out of that movie, it was like top tier MCU for me. I wanted to say it was my favorite. And then I went back and rewatched it. And I was like, wow. I was just on the hype train of seeing J.K. Simmons at the end of the film.
Yeah. Jake Gyllenhaal was awesome as Mysterio. Like those movies really know how to do villains. It's really funny.
That's just one of the most formulaic MCU films I think I've seen. And it just overuse of CGI, way too many plot holes. I've gotten really tired of that movie really fast. Mid-Level Media says, are you guys a fan of the best film of the past decade, Whiplash? I love Whiplash.
There, but it's not the best film of the past decade. That would be The Social Network.
That's a good one.
I guess I gotta watch Whiplash. I've never heard more people talk about it than on this live tonight, and now I just feel bad I haven't seen it yet. So
my favorite of the past decade is Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler's up there. Nightcrawler's really great.
Yeah.
Shit, I gotta find this list. But yeah, I think my top 5, if I'm remember correctly, it was like Nightcrawler, Moonlight. I can't remember off the top of my head, but a lot of really, really good ones. Whiplash was definitely in there.
I really liked mid-90s.
Mid-90s is great. I had that in top 5 of 2018, not of the decade.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna pick like 3 more questions to answer, and then I'm gonna go ahead and call it because I said we were gonna end it at like 1:30, and it's been an hour and 43 minutes. We just been having so much fun.
It's been awesome, man.
Oh, Ex
Thank you.
Machina and Prisoners too are also up there for best of the decade for me.
Oh, those are good. Oh, especially Prisoners. I love
Oh, and,
Prisoners.
oh my God, idiot! Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street too.
That is, yeah.
Thoughts on these 3: Jennifer Lawrence, Lopez, and Garner.
Garner's career is done, has been for a while. Lopez will always be famous, even if I don't think she's the best actress. And Lawrence used to be good, became overrated.
Yeah, Garner, I've just always been indifferent on. So she exists, and cool, she found success in a hard industry. So hey, that's cool. Lopez, like the music way more than I like the acting, but I can't say I really like the music that much. But like Dom said, my opinion on her, I guess it matters because I'm a person and I exist, but
need to care about what we think.
she's immortal. Yeah, she's immortalized, and you know what? Again, good for her for finding success in a very hard industry. And Jennifer Lawrence is in one of my favorite films of the year. Came out, I think it was 2018 when Mother dropped. So 2017.
I still need to watch that movie.
And I love that movie, and it might also be in my top 10 of the decade if I had to come up with that list. So yeah, I like her a lot just for that one performance, and I think she has chops.
That was when I
really do.
turned on Darren Aronofsky with that movie. I'm like, it was one movie, and he had already had me a little skeptical with Noah. And then with that movie, I'm like, no, you got to give me another Black Swan in order to win me back.
AJ in the chat, he absolutely loves Mother. He's been like urging me to check that movie out.
Dude, check it out. But you know how I have to go into Lobster with an open mind?
Yeah. I have to as well, right? Yeah, that's what I heard.
But yeah, I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on that movie when you're done.
For me, Lawrence, she's good. I just haven't seen her in enough great movies, if that makes sense. I think she could do much better. Garner, hit or miss for me. And Lopez, I don't like her music. I've never really seen a movie that I love from her, but
she's gorgeous, so she'll continue to.
She's very pretty. Yeah, that's
the Super Bowl halftime show was rad. So
yeah, sure, I guess
people thought it was gonna suck, and I thought it actually was really good. I was not a hater going into it.
Super Bowl this past year, so I didn't watch the halftime.
It's all right. Hey, Shakira killed it. Jennifer Lopez killed it. But what a weird but good question, I gotta say.
Yeah. Certain Vid says, I know Jaren's picked, but Chris and Dom, what are your favorite Spidey films? Top 3.
Into the Spider-Verse and first two Raimis.
Those are good.
Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse, the first Raimi, and then I gotta go with that the Amazing Spider-Man. I love Garfield, man.
I love Garfield
you like
too.
The first one or the second one?
The first one, the origin one. I thought that
is
was
my least favorite Spider-Man movie.
Oh, I will say Homecoming has grown on me. I will say that.
I do not like any of the Tom Holland ones. I thought that the Andrew Garfield ones showed promise, and it was just they weren't received well, unfortunately. So, but I have Andrew Garfield.
Spider-Man 2 is my number 3. That's like one of my most controversial opinions that I absolutely love that movie.
I'm back and forth on that movie all the time. It's got good parts, but it's very, very sloppy overall. It's kind of the weakest by default is the problem.
I think if we never had that trilogy, and then if we never had Nolan's trilogy, we would not know the MCU or the superhero bubble, as I call it, as we know it today. Like those were just
that's very true. Yeah,
super important.
Trilogy.
Paved the way.
Yeah, those two. But I feel like the trilogy said more with less movies, in my opinion. So
yeah, that's true.
Oh, I'm lagging there. I don't know what just happened. You guys
I'm indifferent about the X-Men movies.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very indifferent about it. There's a few that to me that are great, like Logan, the Deadpool movies, Days of Future Past, and First Class. I love. The rest of them are
that's how I am.
Like some of the casting's great, but they're not memorable to me. But anyways,
yeah. I mean, is it weird that 18-year-old me likes Big Time Rush?
Again, 23 in a week. I still listen to them a lot.
I love Big Time Rush. Oh my gosh.
I still listen to Big Time Rush.
I thought that'd be so weird to say, but like I found this new group of people that love them.
Dude, me and my boys still jam Big Time Rush when we hang out, same as we did in high school, and I was in a hardcore band, okay? Big Time Rush are awesome, dude.
Okay, who's your favorite in Big Time Rush?
Kendall.
Carlos.
Mine as well. Mine's Kendall.
Yeah.
Carlos is ridiculous. I love him.
Yeah.
Because James was like a dumb, pretty boy, but then he actually grew on me and actually became pretty funny. I go based on their in the show, not like based on their actual music ability, because they all sound the same to me is the problem.
Wait, for real?
Yeah. Oh, I can't. If you put Sam them singing next to each other, without me looking at who was singing, like if I was blindfolded, I could not tell any one of them apart.
Okay, that's weird because I think out of boy bands, I think they have some of the most distinct voices to ever come together for like a boy band.
All boy bands kind of like the individual members of each boy band sound the same to me is the problem.
I never liked James. I never liked his voice because I thought it sounded very nasally, and I don't know.
Logan was the one that everybody always told me was funny, and then I watched him, I'm like, this guy's not that funny.
Are you familiar
Logan?
with,
He's the most boring.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with like Warped Tour, Jaren? Like the Warped Tour style of music?
I've
Like
heard of that.
and all that type of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
James could have done well in one of those kind of bands, in my opinion.
Probably, for sure, yeah. And Carlos is the one that sounds like he's acting. Like he's acting
he never
the thing.
really
He's
sings.
not an
He was
actual
like the
singer.
actor who they made be a singer, actually. So
Exactly, yeah.
fun fact. Yeah, exactly.
Very cool Alexa Vega from the Spy Kids movies right now. So
They changed their name to Penna Vega.
yeah,
They share each other's names.
Vega, which weirdly enough I think rolls off the tongue better, but yeah,
It does.
That's cool.
he lucked out as far as his
They
career.
definitely have a similar upbringing, so they can probably relate,
Yes,
which is hard to come by when you're like a child kind of like star type thing.
absolutely.
For sure. Okay, and this is going to be our last question from Certain Vids. He says, most controversial comic book movie opinion.
Oh, comic book movie. Chris, you can go first. I've got a couple.
Jaren, if you have one, you go first. I'm still trying to think. I want to make this good. It's the last question, you know?
It is.
I've
I
got...
have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Do you want to go? I didn't mean to.
No, I need to think about it more.
Okay, cool. So it's easy. It's easy for me. It's Endgame. Sure. It tied up how many plus years? 12 plus years of history. It was obviously huge and it was obviously monumental, and there are a lot of achievements in that film. Do not get me wrong, but I think a good comic book story is centered around the fight between the villain and the heroes. And I'm not talking about the physical fight. I'm talking about like the subtext, like the reactions back and forth. And to me, it kind of felt like Thanos never really cared about the heroes as much as they cared about him. It just felt like Thanos kind of like, yeah, you need your ulterior motive, but it just never felt like he felt threatened by the Avengers at a certain point. It never felt like there was an urgency from him. And that just didn't really suck me in. So I never really understood why people are like, oh my God, Thanos is like the end all be all of villains. You know, I'm actually looking forward to the next three phases because of this reason. So yeah.
That's a good take.
So I was thinking very long and hard about this. I was thinking of going with an easy one that like Watchmen or Dread aren't watched enough, and that Watchmen is actually like a secret masterpiece, but like, nah, I got an even better one than that, which is I think Civil War might be the most overrated MCU movie. And I cannot believe I'm saying that only because that used to be in my top 10 favorite MCU movies. But that was the movie that the more and more I watched it, and I watched that movie a lot, the more and more the plot holes started to emerge. And it's not necessarily that it's a bad movie. It's not. I think it's the fact that there are all the pieces of it being there for it to be a good movie. I think also because of its placement with MCU, I think it was the wrong movie to kick off Phase 3. I think it should have ended Phase 2. I think it would have worked out much better. I think you should have put out Age of Ultron a little bit earlier. And I think that you should have because Age of Ultron really works way more as like a fun adventure in between the first Avengers and Civil War. Not at all as the wrap up to Phase 2. That's a whole different argument over there. I actually really like Age of Ultron, but Civil War to me, I said this in the when I did the ranking for it, which is to me the biggest problem, ironically enough, is that the movie can't pick a side. I watched a lot of videos on this, but it's true. It's that 1 minute it wants you to actually think and realize, oh, all this, like, should we have been cheering for the Avengers as they wrecked city after city? Also, like, kind of putting them in a really unfair light. Because like half the stuff, with the exception of again Ultron, was not their fault. Again, think that would have been fixed if that were the wrap-up movie for Phase 2 and it happened a couple movies after Age of Ultron. But in addition to that, it's also the fact that, but then the next minute, it just wants to have fun with the fighting. Which again, I've usually never had a problem with the MCU's action. But I think as far as the action in that movie goes, that's the one where it's like, okay, this is really choreographed, but this is just a dance. Like, there's no stakes here. That was the only movie where, of every movie that they said that in the MCU that there were no stakes, I started to be like, there are no stakes here, especially with how it ends. Like, with how it ends, that was the ultimate reinforcement to me of like, wow, yeah, this movie does not care about its stakes at all. And it's like, again, the whole Captain America / Avengers movie in one, that argument doesn't hold up as well to me anymore, because the problem is that the Avengers are only there as pawns, and then by the time the third act comes around, they just go away. When it was clearly it's set up as an Avengers movie, but then it ends as a Captain America Iron Man movie. And a lot of the narrative tension to me doesn't work for that movie. It was the more and more I thought about it, I'm like, wow, this does not work overall. And the problem is that there's so many good scenes in it that it should work as a movie. But yeah, that's my controversial take. Civil War, most overrated MCU movie.
Let me say, I 100% agree with you.
Wow, I do too, Dom.
Around with me or not, but
no, I really agree with you. I've been so scared to say that until now, but you know what? You went on that rant, so I'll just say yes. I agree.
If it helps, it's a long time to come to that conclusion, especially given how much I love every other one of the Russo brothers movies. Like Endgame to me, even though Endgame to me didn't hold up as well, and I think Infinity War is still their best movie. Because I like their tighter movies better than their like more longer emotional movies. But Endgame to me works as a greatest hits album, and also just because again, for the pure default of I do default to being that guy of like it's the finale that the MCU deserved. And I look at it solely as that because as a movie it doesn't hold up as well. But the fact that that movie still does a lot of things that I haven't seen in a lot of big blockbuster movies. That's what I give Endgame credit for. And but yeah, Infinity War to me is still the absolute best that the Russos have done. But yeah, Civil War, that did not hold up for me as well.
A greatest hits album. I've never heard it put that way, but I actually really like that.
Are you kidding me? That is, oh my God, so obviously a greatest hits album.
That's such a good way to look at it.
It is. It's true. It is.
What about you, Chris?
What, in regards to Civil War?
Yeah, do you agree? Do you disagree?
I agree with a lot of what Dom just said. I'm not a fan of the big team up movies in the Marvel universe. That's where I feel they get a little sloppy, in my opinion. I more so like the more confined one-on-one type storytelling of like phase 1, really, which is my favorite phase. So yeah, I mean, and that first, what Joss Whedon did, the Avengers, right? The first one?
Avengers, yeah.
I really think that it worked there. I thought it was, but they were still managing way less than they did in Infinity War, and then even less in Endgame.
Funny, because like for what they tried to go with Civil War versus Age of Ultron, if they'd almost like swapped those two approaches, I feel like it would have made those movies work a lot better. And again, if Avengers Age of Ultron was like the more fun adventure that led into what the dark stuff would become, and then for that to be capped off by a much tighter version of Civil War, I think it would have worked much better. Because it's funny because I watched this one YouTube video that detailed two very big, I think, actually are legitimate problems with Age of Ultron, but they would be very easily fixed if Age of Ultron was rearranged within its placement, and also if certain things happened differently in other movies.
And let me just add one last thing. That is just my most controversial answer. The most controversial thing I think about Endgame and Civil War. That does not summarize how I feel about both of those films in a nutshell. I can go on about those films for hours. We don't have that time right now. So anyone who's just meeting us for the first time, like, just so you guys know, I feel like I'm very fair. I feel like I can really see it from all different sides. So when I'm asked most controversial, that's where my brain goes. And I'm sure Dom's the same way. So, but Jaren, you didn't answer yet.
I have a couple. None of mine are that in depth, though. I will say one of them is that I absolutely love Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think it's got the best action in any Spider-Man movie. I think it has the best suit in any Spider-Man movie, and I think it's the most accurate to the comics. I like The Dark Knight Rises better than The Dark Knight. I don't know if that's controversial.
Dude, for a long time, I thought the same thing. But I'll admit that was because The Dark Knight Rises was the only one of the Nolan trilogy that I saw in theaters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was right at that age point. I was 11 when The Dark Knight came out, but that was still the point where I was like, yeah, my parents were like, yeah, this is too scary for you to see in theaters. But even though I wanted to, like, the Joker in a Batman movie that I was actually alive to see, and I watched it years later, and I'm like, yeah, this is incredible.
I still love that movie for sure. Did you guys hear when that movie or Dark Knight Rises premiered? There was like this big shooting at this theater in Colorado.
I remember hearing that.
My brother worked at that theater.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, God, was he okay?
Yeah, he was fine and nothing happened. I guess he just hid behind the counters, but my mom was freaking out the whole time because obviously we're here in Georgia and he's in Colorado. And so she was like trying to get a hold of him and he wasn't answering the phone. And we heard about this after it happened. So that was even scarier.
Dude, that's scary.
But then also I'd say my last controversial is that I think Logan is extremely overrated.
Oh, that's where we disagree. I think Logan's a masterpiece.
I didn't enjoy that movie at all. I thought it was super boring. I thought it looked okay, but I could not get into it. I'm just not a huge fan of the X-Men franchise in general.
That's like the only X-Men film I actually kind of like.
The thing that I get that passage being a phenomenal movie is that it really is just an ode to him as well, which I really like. It's part of
the see why people like it.
Kidding. It's not, but
no, it's not though. It's not.
I know. I was just kidding.
But I think that's going to be it. So before we go, you guys can go ahead and just plug your socials, plug what you got coming up on the Talkin' TV podcast, whatever you want to promote. So just go ahead and do that.
Cool. Thank you,
Okay,
Jaren.
cool.
And before we do that, I just want to say this was awesome. Thanks to everyone who we met for the first time in the chat, and thanks to our friends who came by and showed some support. This is really cool. Like I said, like Jaren said, like the community is a really great part of YouTube, and it's been becoming one of my favorite parts. So, Jaren, I'm really glad our paths crossed, and thanks again for having us.
Yeah,
Dom,
for
you
sure.
want to take this one? You're normally pretty good at that.
Jaren, you are the man. Thank you again for having us, guys. If we haven't already made it abundantly clear just by the amount that I've talked on this podcast, we are the Talkin' TV podcast. I'm the movie nerd. That's the TV nerd. We have our podcast channel on YouTube, Talkin' TV, No G, or Talkin' TV podcast. We put out content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We just put out today, I just put out my reviews for The Tax Collector and An American Pickle. Tomorrow, we've got a podcast episode where we collaborated with Jim Bob of Jim Bob Talks Movies, where we talked about Spirited Away. We've also last week put out our Watchmen watch along and our episode covering Transformers Siege, the first chapter in the upcoming Transformers War for Cybertron trilogy. That will be on Netflix. We've also got a lot of interesting stuff coming up. If you guys like Avatar, I have one more video coming out this Friday about that. We've got a lot more interesting stuff. As I said, Lovecraft Country drops on HBO this coming Sunday. That's going to be a lot of fun. And Chris, you want to tell them where you can find us on our social medias?
I would love to, Dom. You can find us at Talkin' TV podcast. That's Talkin', Talkin, no G. And it's, again, just to reiterate what Dom said, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, there's content on our channel. If you guys wouldn't mind throwing us a subscribe, we are on the way to 100. And
there.
God, I can't wait for that feeling of our first 100 subscribers, guys. So if you could help us do that, that would mean a lot. And Jaren, it really means a lot that you had us here today, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, really
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on. And you guys know where to find me. Obviously, you're on my channel. You can subscribe to me. All my links of my social media is down below in the description. And I've also got some pretty awesome content coming this week. So just stay tuned for that. But yeah, guys, thank you for coming on. Thank you to everyone who stayed along this whole time and asked your questions. This has been absolutely a blast. But we're going to end it there. So until next time, guys, peace out.